Welcome to your awakening. Please stay calm as your reality is adjusted.
And welcome back. Good evening and good day to you, Global Gulag. Yeah, I'm just sort of jumping through my usual intro while I'm clicking to make sure things are running. It's actually loaded for a change. That makes a difference.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. This week it worked. First time. I didn't have to do it like 2 or 3 times. Well done, GooTube. You worked on first click. All right, cool. So yes, welcome back again, folks. Another edition of Sol Excalibre. Go moaning global gulag. There you go. Just to throw it in quick, just for the sake of it. And I'm curious if anyone remembers. Right, if you happen to be listening, why is it stuck on showing me that little icon? Oh, there you go. No, it's got. Sorry, StreamYard was just having a little glitch on me. But it's reset itself now. Okay. Nothing major. It was just like a video. The intro video I'd clicked on. It kept the label open on the screen, like an artifact on the screen. So it was obviously just catching up. But yeah, I'm curious. I'll ask now if anyone remembers, because I've been too lazy to sit and listen back to my own rambling. But how long ago was it that I predicted they might try and kill Trump? I'm just curious if anyone remembers. Was it a week ago? Was it 2 weeks ago? I'm vaguely remembering it was a couple of weeks ago, and we were just talking in general about what's the possibility of this crazy situation being brought to an end. And I was suggesting the idea that really the only thing you can do is outright basically just surrender and walk away and agree to the Iranian demands, like, pay them reparations and all that kind of shit. But his only chance of getting out of this rapidly descending quagmire was to literally wave the white flag and say, yeah, sorry, we fucked up. We won't do it again. We'll see you later. Bye.
Nope.
Sorry, we broke your shit. Yeah. But anyway, I'm just curious because something come up over the last couple of days that made me wonder. Yeah, maybe we'll see if anyone remembers. If not, I will at some point go back and listen to the last couple of weeks of shows just to try and remember when we were talking about it, because I know we had that discussion. And yeah, I suggested that one of the possible ways is that, because we were talking about whether he was ill or not, weren't we? Because there was rumours about him being ill, and you'd got them images of the sort of scabby skin on the side of his neck and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
So we were debating whether they might be planning to try and take him out, or even if they were going to try and use his mental state as an excuse to depose him. Anyway,
Is Vance capable of taking over? I don't think so.
I think he would, yeah. I think in that sense, he is the kind of personality that would probably happily step in. But I think at the same time, he actually wants to be president proper, doesn't he? Yeah, being vice president at the moment is
that's
a stepping
the Teal
stone.
boy. So yeah, they want the presidency.
Yeah, they
sure.
want him for the next president following Trump, as far as what I've heard them talking about on the kind of American talk shows.
A little over 3 more years to go, so
But in that respect of if they want to try and use the situation to depose him, then yeah, I think he would step up and do it. I was only considering the fact that maybe it would spoil his career chance, but considering the level of engineering going on in this whole situation, I don't think that has any meaning in that sense anymore. Trying to balance these career options in that way is a meaningless kind of suggestion, If it gets to the stage where they depose Trump because they claim he's gone mad or he's suffering dementia or something like that, then it's going to be meaningless if Vance turns around and goes, oh, well, I wanted to be the next president, so maybe I'll just step in as an interim for now, and then you'll have to get somebody else to do the job, if that makes sense. Because their term limits and stuff like that. Yeah, anyway, welcome back, folks. It's another week of super weird, crazy madness. Have you noticed?
Yay.
You fucking crazy bastards. Have you noticed? Yeah, I decided to put it in that way because not too long ago in the USA as well, maybe people who are over in the USA obviously aware of the shit, but they had another one of their No Kings rallies that has been developing over the last 2-3 years? Maybe was it longer than that when the first one started? I don't remember again. Maybe somebody in the chat box will remember. But yeah, they had another No Kings rally in the US to sort of make that protest argument about how, you know, they're meant to be a constitutional republic. They're not even an actual democracy, even though they keep saying this is extremely dangerous to our democracy. They are not actually a democracy.
Nope.
That's not the way their system works. Their system is a constitutional republic, and they have different voting blocks that make that principle work, including having the separation of the Senate and the Congress and stuff like that.
Mhm.
Their entire governing infrastructure is geared around being a republic, not a fucking democracy. So,
No, that's why those midterms are so important, right?
yeah, because it influences where the college voting block goes.
Mhm.
And that's far more important than what the general public votes on, you know?
Yeah,
But
they just
yeah,
have one vote, and the others have two, like double. There's double something
Yeah.
like that. Yeah, it's way.
something like I think it might even vary depending on which sort of institution they are. I'm not sure.
I know it's equal compared to state. So Michigan has
Uh.
just as much voting power as California, although California is way more, you know, powerful in financial sense and all that.
Yeah, bigger economy.
Yeah, or
amongst
Florida
the
or
states,
Texas, or you know, but yeah,
Yeah, it's them
but
three.
that's how
really.
they. Yeah,
They're the big three, aren't they, in terms of
I
economic?
think so. Yeah, the swing votes, swing states, right?
Yeah. Oh,
Mhm.
they're different, the swing states, because they're the ones where they can't 100% guarantee which side they're going to vote. Whereas
Yeah.
California has been somewhat regularly Democratic and Texas has been somewhat regularly Republican, you know, that kind of
Yep.
conservative versus Labour here in the UK, but it's the same kind of idea.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Well,
it's been definitely a display of tyrannical craziness. I said the other week, I'm looking at what he's doing and what he's saying and the way he's behaving, and this is far beyond just the usual Trump bluster. You know, this is like he's maybe suffering a little bit from some kind of delusional psychosis or early onset dementia, or he's literally just being a mafia boss and he's following the instructions of his controllers, and he doesn't give a fuck if you think he's contradicting himself by what he's saying, because what you think doesn't matter. He's just there to feed you a line that you think is the thing you want to hear. Yeah, so in that sense, he's not being crazy. You know, he's not descending into mental instability. He's just not giving a fuck anymore because the mask is fully off and he's the tyrant in charge. So you will do what he says even if he contradicts himself, yeah? It's just fucking... Yeah, the level of delusion is, as I said before, you know, it's visible to most people now, because he's literally contradicting himself almost in the same speech, pretty much. Within hours of one thing, he says the opposite later in the day, you know, so...
yeah,
and
and
he's constantly...
outrageous, crazy shit.
Yeah, some of it is, yeah.
We'll bomb him back to the Stone Age, and everybody's
Yeah.
like, "What?"
Or we might
he's-
bomb him a
he's-
bit more just for fun.
But-
He's literally said that. We might bomb them a bit more just for fun.
I got one more. He just said this shit.
Mr. President, how would it not be a war crime to strike Iran's bridges and power plants?
Because they killed 45,000 people in the last month. More than that. I think it could be as much as...
So that justifies killing
they
more.
kill protesters, they're animals. And we have to stop them, and we can't let them have a nuclear weapon. Very simple. They want a nuclear weapon. They've been trying for a long time. I stopped them with the Obama horrible Iran nuclear deal. I stopped them in a lot of different
He stopped them
ways.
again and again and again.
Yeah, you stopped them so many times, he has to stop them again.
How is it not a war crime? Well, they're animals.
Yeah, that sounds just like a settler in the West Bank, doesn't it?
Yeah. Totally.
Same
That's what
kind of
Rubio was
psychos.
doing as well, is totally dehumanizing them as fucking backwards retards, and you cannot negotiate with terrorists and animals, basically.
Yeah, dehumanized. And yet, if you watch the actual video footage of that bridge being struck, and
people were on it, 9 people died.
You see civilians running, screaming. You know that there were vehicles on that bridge. It's a civilian bridge.
Yeah.
It's not part of a
In
military
daylight,
base.
broad daylight.
Yeah, not part of military infrastructure. Of course, military can use any fucking road, of course. But the point is, the whole idea of these supposed international rules of war and shit like that is that you don't attack civilian targets, because that's barbaric. You don't need to do that to defeat somebody's military. But they're doing it deliberately because this is a tactic that they implement, and there's a particular group of people that constantly use this kind of barbaric tactic.
Yeah, but he
They'll
also
do
made the
literally anything,
statement.
yeah. Sorry, go on.
He also made the statement where he boasts, right, that he and the Mossad and Benny Bibi have been giving weapons to the opposition in Iran, which led to that fucking 30,000 supposed. The accurate numbers are between 3,000 and 6,000.
Yeah,
right.
I was going to mention it because
But he boasts about that, and now he uses it as a reason why they are animals. But hang on, wait a minute. Didn't you want a violent uprising? Didn't you want to cause that?
No, I don't know if
Didn't
maybe
it fail?
Just because he's also been in the habit recently of repeating taglines, yeah, talking points that he's come up with. Like he does, because he's a consummate salesman, you know, so he likes a good slogan to push his shit onto people. But it might have just been the particular clip that I saw that had this kind of context to it, but he may have just been repeating something he'd already said, yeah, I don't know. But in that kind of sense, like watching the clips earlier today from the general news media showing him at the egg party, yeah, the Easter party at the White House. And he's saying that kind of shit to the camera. And then he turns around and goes joining in the children's games, rolling the eggs and shit. And I'm saying, watching that, thinking, this is insane. This is watching a tyrannical, crazy monster talking about murdering civilians because they're less than animals. And then he goes and plays games with children.
Yeah.
You wouldn't want some personality like that anywhere near your fucking children. Yeah, that's the level of kind of blatant in you. Like I said earlier, you know, maybe it's not dementia or craziness. He just literally is at the stage where he's so up in his own self-delusion, his hubris of being the divine golden king bullshit, you know?
Listen to this one then.
Secretary General is great. And Mark Rutte, he's a great person, but he's got, and you know, it all began with, if you want to know the truth, Greenland. We want Greenland. They don't want to give it to us. And I said, bye-bye. Okay, thank you very much, everybody. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
So that's why he's kind of out of NATO. Meanwhile, begging NATO to fucking help him in that fucking shitty war of his.
But that was, I think, the thing is basically that, and I'm going to call this the Israeli. Yeah, I'm going to use the word Israeli just as a nomenclature, just as a noun to describe what I'm talking about. But I'm sure people are well aware of all the usual caveats of I'm not stereotyping all Jewish people. I'm not laying the blame at the feet of everyone that might live in that region, etc., etc., etc. You know, all the usual fucking caveats. But I think what the Israeli command were trying to do was get Trump to use his usual all-in poker bully boy tactic to pressure NATO to come in on their side. So in other words, not only would the Israelis have the USA as an attack dog on a lead, like they're doing right now, he would have dragged NATO with him. That was what they were hoping for, I think. But as per usual, they're happy with whatever they get as long as it's a result in their favour. Yeah. So the fact that at the moment Trump is sort of doing all the Iran war for them while they're busy stealing land elsewhere. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think
Funny,
they
huh?
were hoping to drag NATO in as well. And because NATO wouldn't take the bait for multiple reasons, I'm not saying they're excused from this cabal of baby eaters in any way, but they're playing into that longer narrative game like I've talked about recently. And this is about destroying the Anglo-American empire, the USA and the petrodollar. This is not about successfully bringing MAGA to a reality. You know,
This is not 4D, 5D chess.
No,
Trust the
mate.
plan. I got one more. It's a short one, and he says you're wrong.
All I want to see
course
is
he
I
does.
want to have a safe world, and you're not going to have a safe world. Israel will be gone, the Middle East will be gone, and then they're coming for Europe. And I have to tell you, I'm very disappointed in NATO. Very. I think that NATO, I think it's a mark on NATO that will never disappear. Never disappear in my mind. You know, they're coming to see me on Wednesday. They're going to say, oh, we'll do this. We'll do
Anti-Russia
that.
alliance.
Now they all of a sudden want to send
He's
things.
such
you
a
know.
fucking child.
But they said it
Really
loud
is.
and clear at the beginning when I spoke to UK of all. I would have said they would have been the first because they're the oldest. And I say, yeah, I'd love to have a little help. He said, no, sir, we'd rather wait till you win. I said, I don't need help after
You want
we
to
win.
give me your lunch money? Give me your lunch money. If you don't, I'll punch you in the nose. Give me your lunch money.
Yeah. Well, everybody knows you're not going to win there, so they won't burn their fucking fingers on this one. You dumb retard. You fell for the BB trap.
Yeah. Personally,
Right.
I think as well is like this is part of the plan. NATO was never meant to join in. NATO's already over and done with.
No,
because
but
of
the
training.
Israelis, like I had that in some historians said it. Like I think Marandi said it. Like every Israeli president has tried to lobby for a war with Iran, right? For Israel
Since
with the
its
Americans.
inception as the religious
Pretty
state,
much,
yes.
yeah.
since
And
79.
one of the most outspoken ones was JFK. Well, we know how that ended, right? With the nuclear and the Dimona and that stuff. 'Cause that all ties into that.
Yeah.
And where we are at now. So, and Trump is, sure, I'll do it.
So what?
I think he has the Epstein file, or it's the Epstein files as well. All that plays into it.
Yeah, I was going to say.
There are some
like,
dirty
we wanna-
pictures of Trump's little pee-pee out there.
Is there? Oh, that's
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
I really hope I don't encounter any of that shit.
I don't want to see it, but
But yeah, let
maybe
me
maybe it's that he's preventing us from seeing that. Well, thank you, thank you, Trump.
That would even more so in the future. To the historians of the future, please understand that like this is
That was a
level of
joke.
crazy. This is the
Yeah.
level of crazy that our world got to before it got destroyed, and you found all the rubble that you're now looking at.
Yeah.
We had this guy that was so egistical. He would rather kill millions of people than let
blow up the
everyone
world
know
before,
that he has a tiny penis.
Yeah.
Trump the micro penis. He will be
Every
the
time,
most
Cookie.
notorious dictator in the history, in the future history.
Hitler had one ball. Napoleon
Trump
also had a bit.
micro-penis.
Yeah.
I think he had a few too many of the chemicals when he was younger, and it never really grew properly. So he's one of them people that suffers.
I think Melania has bigger balls than Trump.
She probably has the only balls. Right? But yeah. Anyway, rather than just ripping piss out of him, let's just, because it's about 20 minutes, so it's about the usual. Let's just take one step back and mention the title for this week. And hello, welcome. It is another Monday. Hello, mate, in the chat. I'll do a quick roll call in a sec, but just to try and explain the subtitle. Hopefully, it's pretty obvious. The first part is a little bit of gibberish, just a few words slammed together to sort of emphasize the stupid, crazy weirdness that's happened over the weekend. If you didn't know, it was Easter. If you didn't realize, that's an important part of the solar year and our seasonal changes here on this tiny little speck of dust that we're floating on this planet caravan that we're trying to keep moving if the wheels don't fall off before we get anywhere. Or maybe you could say this vessel for the transportation of the holy mushroom spore. Maybe we should put it that way. I was tempted to play that Hen song again before it's too soon yet. We'll save it for another time. Because I still think that was such good, simple lyrics to make a complicated point. Panspermia of the fungal divine spark. But maybe people figure that out themselves. But yeah, the second part is reference to what we've just been talking about. In one of Trump's recent messages, he's put out a usual 48-hour taco threat. I'm sure people have heard all this because it's been all over the news, obviously.
Fucking Iranians.
Yeah, he's made a threat saying, do what I want, or I'm going to bomb you back to the Stone Age, because I know I stopped you before multiple times, but I'm going to stop you again. Like, stop the fucking pigeon, I thought you killed him last time. No, I'm going to kill him again. They keep coming back like zombies. But he's put out his usual kind of ultimatum threat that will probably get cancelled tomorrow once the markets have bounced back. I'm not sure how that's reflected in this recent tirade, because I think most people have become aware of that patternation now. So, yeah, this was part of his post on his social media post, where he said, you fucking crazy bastards.
Yeah.
And of course, all the media won't say the word fucking, or the majority of the media, the legacy media, certainly. And I thought it was more appropriate, as I mentioned earlier, about the fact that they had the No Kings rally recently, that I'll put it as faux-king, because he likes to think of himself as a king. This is why he loves rubbing shoulders with King Chucky so much, Plus, they're probably... been in dark rooms wearing similar aprons and doing similar weird perverted shit, so they're probably a lot more interconnected than they present in the public eye, I think. But just think Jimmy Savile. I really don't think Epstein was completely separated from Jimmy Savile. I think there might have been a lot of handing over of reins and network connections and shit like that took place with Savile and Epstein before Savile was departed.
Yeah.
So, yeah, anyway, the point being...
Yeah, the wordy words. I put the wordy words up. It's
cool,
fucking insane if you read it. No.
Open the fucking straight, you crazy bastards, or you'll be living in hell. Praise be to Allah. And he's saying that on Easter.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this is another. Yeah, we'll come back to that later.
As a non-Muslim, is very insulting and
being deliberately.
It will be Power Plant Day and Bridge Day, all wrapped up in one. Yay!
Both of which would be war crimes, because both of which are civilian targets.
Yeah, and have long-lasting consequences.
Yeah, it's not a power plant that's solely built on a military base for the use of that military installation. No, he's talking about civilian power plants that supply power to the general population. That is a war crime.
Yep.
And he's blatantly stating it in public that they're going to do that if they don't capitulate. Why he hasn't been deposed or arrested already, I could say I don't know why that hasn't
he cannot understand. But we hit your navy, we hit your airplanes, we hit your everything. You still don't do
it.
This is a temper tantrum that of a fucking 5-year-old. Give me my fucking ice cream.
And I think it's so ironic that one of the epitomes of American culture, what used to be one of the epitomes of American culture, was the indomitable hero spirit. Yeah, that was epitomized in it was almost cartoonified because it was so diluted, but it was epitomized in that kind of fake wrestling federation kind of setup that's so popular in America. You see the classic image, and I remember this from when I was younger, back in the 90s. Hulk Hogan being beaten up by whoever it was it The Undertaker? I think was one of the classic ones. And The Undertaker was the bad guy. There always had to be a good guy hero and a bad guy villain. And the good guy hero would get knocked down, and you'd think he was out, and he'd be there lying on the mat, and they'd be counting 1, 2, and then at the very last second he'd get up and he'd regain his strength and he'd come back fighting and he'd end up winning the fight. Yeah. Also epitomised in stories like Rocky. Yeah, about the boxer. You can keep hitting him, he'll keep getting back up. You keep hitting him, he keeps getting back up. He was indomitable hero spirit. This is what Iranian people, the Iranian military, are demonstrating to Trump, and he's having a flap like a child because he can't understand what's happening. Or it's all part of a pretense that they're displaying to the public because the whole agenda is already mapped out. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't
He's
know. Have
meant
you
to
seen the
back-
firing, the sacking of all the generals that happened as well? Like 8 generals and some fuck ever. And
Pretty
they
much
cannot even.
across the board.
Hexet couldn't give an answer on why exactly, but I know why, because they said no, this is fucking stupid. We're not going to do
They
this.
said you're going to start World War III, you fucking childish morons.
Are you retarded?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they said probably things along the lines of, we knew this would happen, sir. We've been planning for this eventuality for decades. What the fuck are you doing?
Yeah.
Who the fuck is telling you to take these absolutely stupid, moronic strategic decisions? You're a fucking fuckwit. So they all got sacked.
That's one of the things that happened with that aircraft carrier, that they put toilet paper down the fucking hatches or in the toilet, so they blocked it, all that, and they had flooding, and so they had to go back. You know, there's uprising within these ships, like, you know, and that's pretty, if you know how that thing works, without a toilet, you're not going to stay out for long.
Yeah, you can't. It becomes uninhabitable. It comes a toxic waste, a biohazard. Yeah.
Yeah. So
because there's nowhere for the waste to go.
That was very strategic, and that's an uprising kind of a thing. And,
you have to manually fucking remove it, right? They might very well have pumps and stuff they can use, but the backbone of the work would require people to get up to the elbow, doing a bit of Spanish chicken's work for him, but in a very tight, confined space. That's a very toxic environment to be in for people. Anyway, let's.
So you know.
Sorry, I distracted myself.
It is, there's a double thing, right? So is everybody behind Trump? No, all the Trumpers are. MAGA is falling apart. Everything, the military is not very divided on this. So this is not easy sailing. He can just decide. He's not the decider at all.
No, he's a puppet.
Not like Bush was after 9/11, because he had 9/11, right? To fucking say, oh, terrorist. What does Trump have? Nothing.
We will be. I would just add, and I'll get to the roll call in just a sec because we're coming to our.
I'll shut up.
No, me as well.
No.
But I'd add as well into that the recent sacking of Pam Bondi.
Oh yeah.
But I would also add a little sub note to that.
I'll miss her already.
I'm dubious that as well may have been a deliberate setup to get her out, so they can bring somebody else in. So the Epstein files can be kicked down the road yet again, because a new person will be tasked to deal with the shit that Pam Bondi left behind, and any failure to fulfill the requirements of that legal order will be blamed on Pam Bondi. They'll say, oh, she didn't do that, so it's her fault. Well, give us a couple of weeks, we'll deal with it, So they'll get time to kick it down the road again.
Yeah, I think it's still just down to 2 or 3 senators that are still trying to keep this going, right?
Yeah,
because the others are already out. That Green is out, and Messi and some Pakistani-looking guy, Indian-looking guy.
Sorry.
No.
Well, I'm not.
But those are the main ones, I guess, and some backbenchers. But because I don't know how long they will last. Probably not.
The way things are going, it's going to get buried in the crisis of warfare.
Or some fucking bike accident happens, and
the warfare has not stopped. We over this last weekend, we just stepped up another escalation level. That was what I was going to get into next, but
first,
first, let's actually stop. Take a breath. I'm going to say hello to everyone, and then I'm going to play a tune early. Deliberately, you'll see why, because I think it's very appropriate. And I'd forgotten all about this one particular one, but I say I rediscovered it. Google suggested it to me just the other day, and I was like, oh yeah, I remember. Yeah, that'd be a good one to play. Synchronistic, it's whatever you'll see. Sorry. CMB, good evening, mate. CMB was actually in the chat before me or before James or before Pete. It's not my fault. He got in there first. Sorry. There's nothing I could do about it. He just turned up and walked in and, so well done, CMB.
Must be early morning now there.
Well,
Oh,
yeah,
really
of course.
late.
It's, how many hours ahead are you? 5 or 6? It might actually be 7 or 8. I'm not sure. The
I don't know.
distance.
A lot.
It's certainly.
He's laughing.
Yeah, it's more than 5. It's probably 7 or 8, something like that. Yeah. So hello, mate. I hope it's.
He says 235. It's probably 235 there.
Right.
Yeah, 235. So 0235.
Yeah, he must.
The middle of the night or in midday.
No, it's got to be in the morning.
Yeah.
No, it's not. Huh?
What?
Is that many hours ahead that it's tomorrow? Is it the 7th over there already?
Oh, it's 02. So yeah, this is in the middle of the night.
Yeah, 2:30. That's what I was thinking. Yeah, early morning then. So
very early morning.
Sorry for keeping you awake. I'll try not to shout in your ear too much. Roberto was in next. Hello, mate. Hi, big. Thank you.
Thanks for the birds.
Yeah,
they're good.
And Mascara Snake was next. Hello, mate. Glad you made it in the chat. And then James was in. Good evening, James. Don't blame me, mate. They were deliberately, I think, trying to get ahead of you because they know the game now. They've got to get in early. Yeah, you've helped them learn the virtue of being prompt and early. Well, not just on time. They're there early. Yeah, they're ready to go early. Yeah, eager to get into it. So, welcome to you, mate. I hope you're feeling better today. And we've got genuinely concerned. Good evening, mate. Thanks for jumping in the chat. And I'm looking at it on the StreamYard, so I'm seeing them all in one. So if you're on a particular different chat and you're not seeing some of the names I mentioned, it's probably because you're not in the one where most people are gathering, which is on the Starfish Troopers channel. Because Pete's far more popular than me, so most people congregate on his channel, not mine.
Yeah.
But hello, whichever channel you're on, it don't matter. Yeah, it's all good. And hello to any of the lurkers that might be not wanting to use the chat or can't use the chat for whatever reason. And of course, like I've often said, hello to all the time travelers, because I know people come back and watch just the videos. Blessed Exile, good evening, mate. Exactly, yes. It's been an Eggscalation, if I can say it, Eggscalation in the craziness. It's been that crazy. It's been like a spoon to the moon, a Lunaspoon. And Ridiculizer, good evening, mate. Thank you for the music. I hope you don't mind. I will play it. And yeah, I will make sure to grab links for people as well. For everything I'm going to share, I'll try and put links in the chat room like I usually do. Scrolling. Check out Ridiculizer's channel as well. He's been doing live streams of his creating more music when he's working on his music stuff. So if you want to see the way he works on his stuff, the way he's got his stuff set up and how he does his thing, go and check it out. Paul, good evening, Paul. Thanks for joining in the chat. And Gaz Joe, hello, mate. I know it's probably been a few years since you've seen the videos going, or the live streams anyway. Maybe. I don't know how many years, unless you've been lurking in the background. Like some Tatro, good evening, mate. Tips hat, yeah, hello. Hat tip to you, Tug Forlock. Yeah, that's a classic one. David, good evening, David. Thank you for joining in the chat. And I'll try and hurry up on my scrolling. I know I'm lagging behind like usual. Quantum Epic, good evening. Quantum Epic. That's another one as well. I think that you haven't been in the chat for quite a while. Hello, welcome back. And Rebecca, good evening, Rebecca. Glad you made it.
Hello.
Hopefully you're not Have you got a day off today? Is it bank holiday in the USA as well for Easter?
Easter holiday, yeah, probably.
Well, I'm guessing so, yeah, but just in case.
Well, somebody has to work, of course, but yeah.
Yeah, I know, because often Becca's working in the afternoon, and she's because for her over there, it's what midday-ish, about 3 or 4 p.m. something like that. Well, yeah, that's after midday. You know what I mean? Tears in the vial. Good evening. Thanks. Yeah, good show, hopefully. And Rich T is in the chat as well. Good evening, mate. My voice is cracking already, going all gravelly. Sorry if you don't like the gravelly voice stuff. It's just going to have to be tough. It's probably going to get worse. I'll take a swig of coffee in a minute once I finish saying hello. Nitsud, good evening, Nitsud. Hello, Dustin. Sucking each other off, are they? Oh, you're on about Trump and that? Yeah, probably, man. Him and King Chucky, yeah, it wouldn't surprise me if they, maybe he likes his sausage fingers in his mouth or something. Roscoe, good evening, Roscoe. Thanks for joining in the chat, mate. Thank you for the comments that you always post, always good information, and help people find more of the alternative information that's out there. Sometimes it just takes a signpost. We know the way this internet stuff works now. So much stuff gets suppressed, and the internet is shrinking. I think the dead internet concept is certainly getting proven true week after week, or more proven. I see the proof is stacking up, as it were. Steve, good evening, Steve. The goose is in the house. Rob isn't here, I noticed. He said he was busy, wasn't he? But I'm sure he'd give you a shout if he was here. And Made in UK, good evening, mate. Your message is not getting through on YouTube. Trump will use the real approach. It's not a war crime because the IRGC were firing rocket. Yeah, I know. Sure. Usual kind of Israeli state argument. It's like they fired rockets at us, therefore we're going to bomb the fuck out of them for the next 2 weeks.
That journalist was a soldier. Here we photoshopped him in a uniform.
Yeah.
Proof.
Rick, good evening, Rick. Sorry if I missed you earlier. Usually in earlier, but I've just seen your name now. Hello, Rick. Thanks for joining us. Scrolly. Right, I think okay, I've caught up on the chat room. Thanks for your patience. Good evening, everyone. Maybe, I know I've said this before in the past, if it gets more and more people in the chat, I might have to stop doing the roll call simply because it takes me too long to do it. It's not that I don't want to say hello to people. It's just I don't want to spend 20 minutes or half an hour saying hello. No. And I know I'm terrible for digressing and going off at a tangent, talking about other stuff when we're supposed to be just saying hello. So I know often it's me that causes the delay. But yeah, hello to everyone. I'm glad you made it in the chat. Welcome to the crazy Eggscalation weekend. And the Lunaspoon, I threw that on as well, simply to just make it sound even more silly and crazy, and in reference to the moon mission. We spoke a little bit about it on Wednesday on the Starfish Troopers broadcast on Wednesday. That connection of the Artemis name and concept to the Apollo missions, and the idea that why is it they're going to the moon but they're naming their projects, their missions, after sun gods and the relations of sun gods? Why is that? Why is it they decided to plan for this mission to supposedly return to the moon, even though they're not landing, they're just doing an orbit allegedly, or have done allegedly. Supposedly they're on their way back now. And Pete was looking at the images earlier and he was pointing out various things, going, that looks a bit dodgy, that don't look right, what's going on there? And I just kept saying, it's because it's fake, mate, it's fake, it's just fake, just don't worry about it, it's just fake. And I know I was saying it just to be silly, of course, I was just taking the piss, but Yeah, I do think a lot of it is faked. How much of it is faked is the point of argument. Yeah, and this
You know
is
how they
why
have special space food in space, right?
yeah, pills and paste, like he
Hmm.
sings about in that mushroom song. Yeah,
Pills and paste, exactly. Watch
living
this.
on pills and paste.
Reed Wiseman and Jeremy Hansen will be up first to capture imagery and record audio on the portable computing devices. You hear those referred to as
Isn't
PCs?
that it?
Well,
Their
they
What's
emergency
next? What's
toilet?
next? Ketchup? Bottle of ketchup and
Yeah,
mayonnaise.
or some cayenne pepper. Yeah. It'd have to be garlic mayonnaise.
Space food.
I thought that jar was their emergency toilet, you know, because they reported the toilet smelled burning. You know? So it's like, well, in
That's
zero
not the
G,
Nutella. Uh-oh.
in 0G, nothing stops your poo from getting in the jar of Nutella.
Well, they had some plumbing issues, and she had to solve it.
Oh,
She
right,
solved it.
she's
She
the
solved
engineer.
Yeah, the plumber. Yeah.
Well, engineer. Yeah, they always have somebody who's an engineer. And
I don't know
it's
what,
their
what
job
yeah,
to
but
deal with
yeah,
this
she
kind of
did it.
stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But
they're the go-to gopher monkey for those kind of repairs. You know, they're expected to do any of that kind of work, even if it
some
is handling
space product placement there. Yeah, that's a good
everyone's,
commercial for yeah.
yeah.
If Nutella knows this, they'll fucking do it. Hell yeah. If they knew this,
Considering
how
the
did they not pay
really,
$1 million for this? Like, yeah,
like we were talking about before we started live. Yeah, well, why
fake.
is it that they've got such a shitty quality of camera? Why
Yeah,
is
let me
it
show
that
you,
there
like-
seems to be these really sort of low quality, simplistic mistakes, which, considering the so-called level of technology of the people involved, as well as the budget, why is it that they're incapable of doing something that Hollywood studios have done for half the budget? And even then, that's for a major film, yeah? But they seem to be incapable of not making really simplistic, silly, obvious mistakes, you know, really low-level technological mistakes, that kind of thing.
So here's the bit what I just noticed before we went live. I'll just do it.
Yeah.
So if you speed it up, you just grab that thing and slide it. You can speed up the whole fucking thing. Look how the moon moves. And
I like
what's
the bit when
weird,
went
it goes
flat.
to
There, look, it goes flat for a moment.
yeah.
Where's Spanish? Look, they proved it's flat.
It's radial and the boop.
Yep.
And now it goes towards the spaceship and then it goes down.
Yeah.
And now it goes up. How the
Like-
fuck
like
did it make this movement?
I would point. I think that is possible, mate, based on alterations of the
I don't
trajectory
think so.
of the craft. But
Well, I'm
yeah,
looking
look-
at that thing at the side, right? The spaceship itself, and it's not moving when you're doing that at
no,
all.
because the camera's
The
fixed
moon
to
is.
it. Yeah, the camera's
Yeah,
fixed
so how's
to
the moon
vehicle
fucking doing all these movements?
because of the movement of the vehicle.
Whole vehicle, yeah, maybe, but why would it be?
Adjusting for trajectory.
Maybe. To me, it looks weird.
I
But this is the
think
best
whole thing
picture
looks
that we're
weird.
gonna get.
Yeah.
This blurry gray blob.
Yeah. I think the whole thing looks weird anyway, mate. So the argument about whether the motion of the movement is genuine or not is meaningless because the whole thing looks fake to me.
Mhm.
As well as many
Agree.
other things to do with this whole setup, like some of the internal footage they've shown, like the bit you showed with the Nutella floating around.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
is literally like product placement, as in they probably did get a funding payment from Nutella to have that there.
Uh-huh.
And it doesn't necessarily have to be genuinely up in space. They just have to pretend that it is by showing it floating around on the screen. Yeah, I'm not one of the people that thinks space is fake and all
No,
of this
no,
is
me neither.
filmed
Me neither, but
underwater and whatever. But I do, and I've made this argument many times, I do agree that NASA has been deliberately set up to be a misdirection for the public, so that a lot, if not the majority of what they show the public is some kind of manipulation or completely faked. Yeah, it can be shown many times over years. The cliche of the NASA equals never a straight answer holds true over all the years of its existence. They've never been genuinely honest and upfront with the public. Their task, their reason for existing is to create a false facade to give the public a perception, a framed and controllable perception of what's happening up there and what their technology is capable of.
Yeah.
It's not
Absolutely.
genuine. Yeah.
Nope.
Some of what we see and some of what we can evidence can be proven to be true, yes, but the majority of what they're showing us with shit like that, no, it's make-believe. They're deliberately engineered to create a perception. And I think this in particular, at the moment, why is it that they planned for this particular mission to take place on Easter weekend? They'll make up some excuses like, oh, we were waiting for the right weather conditions. We had to delay for a week or two because of various engineering. They'll come out with all these excuses of why it ended up taking place on this weekend or over this weekend. Yeah, I know it didn't launch this weekend, but you know what I mean. This last several days has been the travel time, allegedly.
Yeah. No, a lot of alignments planetarily and astronomically and
Yeah. That's why it's Easter. That's why it's this seasonal change, the solar seasonal change of the year. Our position in relation to the sun causes these seasonal effects that over the millennia we have learned to calculate because we perceive linear time, or we perceive what we call time as being linear. So we can note these patterns of repetition in the movements of the solar system. And we know that at these particular times of the year, this kind of situation is where the solar system is. So, yeah,
so is
the
there
best time to send the rocket is now.
There an element of offering then in this included? Like,
Yes.
is this a form of an offering or pleasing the gods or pleasing whoever, right?
Yeah, they have to approach sort of in a humble manner, you know, the humble, the penitent man, as the fucking Indiana Jones line goes, you know. So yeah, they're gradually building up to it, but some of it I think is just to control the public narrative. Right? They again, like the Epstein files, they're deliberately trying to drag this narrative out.
Yeah.
Elon Musk's SpaceX has proven that no, you don't need to take this fucking many years going through all these fucking bullshit processes to supposedly just be able to send somebody up into space. No. Look, we can do it within a few years, and look at the level of technological development we've achieved. But NASA is still working with what is 1970s, 1980s fucking level technology.
Yeah.
It wouldn't surprise me if the computers are still running on fucking Windows 95.
And the space station, they have some Windows XP running still.
Yeah, NT probably. But then again,
I know. I think actually XP, kind of a HP kind of a deal they had back then,
budget,
and you got a
budget
right?
version. Yeah, because of the licensing, I bet they went for the budget version for the actual crew.
Yeah, some of those laptops are still operational there. So whatever works, right? But okay.
Can you imagine like climbing into one of them vehicles, whether it be a shuttle or a rocket or whatever, a capsule or something, and you look around at the technology around you, and it's all like fucking
stick a
20
floppy
years
disk.
old. You'd be like, "Fuck me! I wish I'd signed that extra insurance clause."
Oh, that's funny when you watch old science fiction movies. How some things really do age and some things really don't.
Yeah,
Screens and communicators and spacesuits.
Oh, what was it called? That movie about the fake moon mission.
Unicorn, Capricorn.
Capricorn 1. That was it. Yeah, Capricorn 1. Highly recommend watching that if you've never seen it. If you want some good classic science fiction, the only drawback is it's not
the ending wasn't great.
It's not a British movie. Yeah, the ending's not great because they tried to Hollywood the story. So that's what I was saying. Like the only sort of letdown to me is it's not got that kind of classic British black pill, as they would say in a modern parlance. Yeah. As in genuine realness, realism, realism. They don't sugarcoat it and try and create a happy ending like they do in Hollywood, kind of thing.
Happy ending?
No, unless you're watching John Carpenter or somebody like that. They're never more genuine. But the Hollywood machine was designed to create that kind of fictional view of reality that people have a happy ending kind of bullshit to keep up the hopium.
Yeah. Cannot have the hero die at the end.
Oh, in the chat. I'm not sure.
Plumber. I think we said plumber three times, and then he shows up.
Oh, like Beetlejuice.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, we'll just do the anti-charm. We'll just go oi 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 oi. And it's
Australians might show up.
like when you flick a spring, you know, just, oi, 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 oi.
Yeah.
And it just fades. It's like the Doppler effect, you know, it just fades into the distance.
Nice.
Anyway, speaking of weird musical stuff, I'm going to play this song now because, as I mentioned earlier, when it got suggested to me, I thought that's fucking synchronistically appropriate. Yes, I'll play that. Thank you. And I want to play it now because some of the stuff is sort of referenced in these things I want to mention and get into. So, yeah, I've played this song, this band before not too long ago, so some of you might recognize it. But, yeah, it's meant with a bit of tongue-in-cheek. But enjoy. It's Easter crazy weekend. Gonna have some fun.
Told me who you are, and I thought I was mistaken, and I thought I heard your words. Well, tell me, how do I feel? Tell me now, how do I feel? Won't you tell me now? anger those who attempt to poison and destroy my brothers. And you will know that my name is the Lord when I lay my vengeance upon thee. Yes, yes. Can I get a witness? Can I get a witness again? Yes, yes. You will know that my name is the Lord when I lay my vengeance upon ye.
Yes. Why are you gay? If you didn't recognize it, that's a group called Hayseed Dixie, if I can say it right. That one was their cover of Blue Monday. That's what they do. They do cover songs in a bluegrass style, but they'll do like modern songs and rock and metal and, you know, loads of different styles, but they do them in a bluegrass version.
I like
And I thought that was so synchronistic for multiple reasons. One, it's that Blue Monday lyrics, you know, sort of shouting at the world. You know, you're doing all this crazy shit and you're going to hear me fucking shouting at you because all the fucking crazy shit you're doing. But the way he combines it with the imagery of the plasma sphere, and then what I feel is the acknowledgement of the connection to the dragon symbolism, which is why he has a little cuddly dragons floating in the sphere. Yeah. I think it doesn't specifically say that anywhere, but I think that's what they were hinting at. Yeah.
Original has a bass line in it, doesn't it?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, it's quite a bouncy song, even though the lyrics are a little bit cynical. I was going to say depressive, but that's not the right word. They're just sort of cynical, aren't they? Yeah. A bit sort of misanthropic, because it's just somebody being angry about the fact that it's fucking Monday again. Yeah? How do you think I feel, you fucker?
It's a fucking Monday.
Yeah,
Weekend
you're doing
is
all
over.
this crazy shit.
Yeah.
It's supposed to be Easter Monday. We're supposed to be celebrating the resurrection. We're supposed to be celebrating the return of the sun to the height of its power. From now till the summer solstice, the sun is in ascendancy in that kind of respect, yeah, in a symbolic and esoteric sense. This is the height of the power of the sun during the year. So this is the most potent time of the year in terms of creative energy. You know, this is when spring gets proven. So the seeds that didn't take won't germinate now. You know, you'll have to wait till next time or next season for them. But the ones that have taken will now be carried forward to the next chapter, you know, the next stage of germination or generation, etc. Yeah. And I think that's why, and I've made this argument for a while now, and I've said it for ever since his first term in office, which was why I asked at the start, when was it that I mentioned the idea of them possibly trying to take Trump out? Because this time being Easter, this is symbolically, esoterically, narrative control, in terms of controlling a narrative in the way that they have been, you know, in relating current events or world events to biblical narratives or symbolism or metaphors or agendas, you know, timelines, as in this is the prophecy, this is the end times, all that kind of narrative.
Almost took his head off, almost.
Yeah, but that was a while ago, though, wasn't it? Yeah, I'm talking about now, this weekend being Easter.
Yeah.
I was somewhat watching in case something in particular happened around him, because he's been presented as this golden child messiah. And he's loved that, yeah, because he loves that egotistical adoration. He's very much the epitome of narcissism. He loves to think
that
of himself
TV
as a king.
priest that he has around him a lot, right, in the daily. And they did some of that, like, oh yeah, he's the chosen one and all that.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I
think he believes
the
it.
Golden
But
child
he's the golden boy. Yeah.
Yeah, I think when he went for his first term, it was part of why I come up with that graphic about, you know, the Uncle Trump wants you to smell his gas. So in that respect, I was keeping an eye open in particular for anything that might occur around him in relation to that messianic narrative, yeah. As in, are they going to try and knock him off his throne now? Because this would be the most appropriate weekend to do it.
No.
At the moment, I'm not correlating that necessarily to other religious observances. There may be other things for example, in the Jewish calendar that's coming up that I'm not being aware of that may be more relevant for their
Easter
narrative.
is more important to them than they celebrate that day as we nailed him.
Exactly right. That's what I was thinking. So, I mean, it's not over yet. Easter in America is going to be going for another probably 12 hours or so before it ticks over to tomorrow, to Tuesday. So we'll see. But yeah, so far it's been okay in that respect. Nothing.
The threat is for tomorrow, right? Tomorrow night he wants to bomb the fuck out
Taco
of
Tuesday. The ultimatum deadline. Tomorrow evening.
But deadlines
in their time clock. Yeah, so
he did a few already of those deadlines. So
well, this is why it's become a joke, mate, because it's literally Taco Tuesday. He makes an announcement at the weekend. The stock market has a fit and prices drop. And then he makes some kind of threat when it comes up to the beginning of the new week. And the threat almost always so far has been 48 hours. So that means it runs out by the middle of Tuesday. And during that time, the stock market recovers because they think something's going to happen. But it doesn't.
Short-term pain, long-term gain.
That's extremely dangerous to add you backwards.
Remember that one?
Yeah.
Woo.
But it does get to the stage where even making a parody out of these fuckers just falls short. It just doesn't hold enough weight to me.
No, and it does scare me when the Israelis are openly discussing, like, oh, can we drop a neutron bomb so we don't damage all the infrastructure?
Yeah. Or now that they've got that legislation passed, and I'm still keeping an ear open for any announcements to do with that legislation getting turned over, or overturned, I should say, It might still, because even what's his name, Ben Gavir, if it was really him and not an AI recreation,
you never know.
Even I think you showed it yesterday in the Daily yesterday, the clip of him talking about like it's going to take them a while to build the infrastructure to do it.
Yep.
So basically, they've got to build special camps where they'll send the people they're going to execute. Then they've got to build the gallows, and they've got to build the equipment to get rid of the corpses, blah, 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 blah. In other words, they're building what we were told the concentration camps were at the end of the Second World War. It's just that instead of using gas, they're going to use the method of hanging. And I've suggested why that possibly is, because it enables organ retrieval.
And already trying to ban that law as well, like terrorism. Is only when you when you killed an Israeli, then
Then it.
But now it's like probably all kinds of terrorism, right?
Well, yeah.
So if you're classified a terrorist, you're basically on the death row.
If you shout too loudly at a settler, that's terrorism.
Throw a stone. Yes.
Yeah. If you prevent them from burning down your home, that's terrorism.
Yeah, and there's no age restriction either.
No, not at all from what I've heard them say, no. So
nope.
They could potentially be hanging 5-year-old children, 4-year-old children even. Because a 4 or 5-year-old child
quite a
is
few,
capable of throwing a stone at somebody, so...
Well, if they can torture them and get away with it, then why not hang them, huh? Mm-hmm.
Or just shoot them from a distance like they did with that girl getting water.
Yep.
Shit like that. And age to them is not only inconsequential. If anything, they want to get them as young as possible before they become a genuine threat.
And the real scary...
Would rather kill them when they're children.
The real scary thing, it's now the Arabs, but they think the same about all the goy. So whoever is in their way or whatever, they'll do the same. They don't mind. Even to their own. And they did it.
Yeah.
A few times.
Just to give a quick roundup of some of the things I made notes of, just to make mention of to do with this, because as I've said multiple times tonight, and it's going to end up becoming an annoying fucking repetition. I'm sure most of you are already aware of this because most of the media has been saturated with it. They want you to know this information. The US have attacked the Pars oil refinery That is the major refinery factory for Iran to process its oil, most of which it uses internally or needs internally. Yeah, it's a primary source of their energy grid. I only saw that late this evening or this afternoon, early evening. So what the progress is on the reports on that, I haven't seen any updates since. Yeah. That attack, I think, took place early this morning in our timeline, probably midday-ish for them or something like that. But just the fact that he has attacked, I say he, because he's supposedly the one giving the orders, the US have attacked that refinery. That is a declared escalation that the Iranians warned them, if you do this, we will start bombing all of the similar infrastructure in the Gulf State region. So the Kuwaitis refinery system is now going to get attacked. Their energy grid systems are going to get attacked. The Kuwaitis, the Saudis, the UAE, all those Gulf countries that we rely on to buy most of our oil from, originally anyway, because don't forget, most of Iran's oil is going eastwards to China and Thailand and Korea, etc. They're not coming this direction mainly. But this direction we get from Saudi Arabia, from Kuwait, from UAE. And now that Trump's attacked that refinery, the Iranians warned him in the last few days. They said, if you do this, we will attack, or we'll consider that now a legitimate target because you've made the attack first. So you've committed the war crime. We're just responding in kind. As we warned you multiple times, we will do. Whatever you do to us, we will do it to you in multiple, which is what they've done over the last week to 2 weeks. Yeah. Whatever targets the Americans or the Israelis have picked on, the Iranians have targeted similar things, but multiple of them. Yeah. So anyway, the fact that he's done that.
Yeah.
Go on, man. Yeah, go on. If you want
Well,
to
there's a lot of propaganda and forward, backwards, and forward, like we are winning and they're winning, right? But well, from what I'm seeing, right, and guessing is like Trump is definitely losing this war.
Oh yeah, he's
they
beaten them
have
so
hit
many
a lot of
times.
targets, but a lot of targets were painted or decoys or distractions, or because
Rocky
I think
Balboa's
like
got nothing on the Iranians, right?
no, if you know that America is your enemy and you know that for fucking since forever, right?
Yeah.
You know how they're gonna fucking try to destroy you.
More than 4 decades.
Because they demonstrated that how they do that in Afghanistan and in Syria and in Iraq, and so you just have to do it a little bit different. And the Americans are out of their depth. They're completely lost. And I think a lot of that is happening, and that's why some of these Iranians are still fucking laughing and grinning. Because when he made that threat, that fucking open the fucking Strait, the Iranian response was, we lost the keys.
Hello in the chat, no job.
You know, so they are not taking this serious at all. They know how he's doing it, and for them it's a war of attrition. Like how long can you last? How long can we last? And I think we're gonna last a lot longer.
They plan for that strategy, whereas the American strategy militarily is not like that. Huh?
They have that belief. They have the history behind it.
They're a blitzkrieg force that relies on air power. So if you disable their air power and you force them to slow down, they're fucked tactically. They can't cope. That's been proven multiple times by other opponents, which is why the USA hasn't won a war for decades, not since the Second World War, really. Even though they'll bitch and moan about various engagements that might have happened since. But if they're serious, and you do get a few of them will admit it, like McGregor would admit it, that Colonel McGregor, they have not won a war since the Second World War. But they love to get involved in them because they generate money. It fuels the economy. Yeah,
Trump has been saying, like, well, we're not going to openly say what we're going to do. We're not going to tell the enemy what we're going to do. We're not fucking going to tell you.
If you don't do what I want, I'm going to
But if you don't, I'm going to blow you on Tuesday. So, that's a weird thing that's happened. So I don't take that serious at all. I hope it's not fucking serious. Because I still hope that there are some commanders on those fucking ship that think like, okay, Orange Man, lovely, but
I think it's more likely going to be in his own cabinet before it happens in a military
Hex
sense.
or what's a Vance could spring up as the peacekeeper. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I mean. It might be a political pressure wave that deposes him for one reason or another before the military turn around and depose him, because they've made such a good job of structuring the military and shuffling the people around so that they've got good order followers where they want them. You know, that's including all the recent firings that have taken place. You know, that's them getting rid of the dissidents against the bullshit. So
well, Trump is still very old world order, right?
Yes, he's certainly a repackaging of the old
Vance
world
is
order,
like new world order, dealy.
Again, just a repackaging.
Yeah.
The basic principles haven't changed. All they've done is repackaged it with this robotic.
He went from never Trump to
uniform.
fucking, the Vice. So they did some pretty good repackaging on that guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's when it gets into all the robotic stuff, which we can talk about another night. There's other things I want to cover tonight. Yeah. So that's his escalation that's happened over this weekend. As we've mentioned, I'm sure you know that includes at the end of the weekend he made his latest ultimatum threat. You fucking crazy bastards! And Pete showed the clip earlier, the text of it. So we're at the stage where we're now waiting until tomorrow. Really, we're going to see the output from Iran based on the attacks that have now taken place on that refinery. So it usually takes them a few hours to begin a response, but they'll initiate another wave because they've got this tactic. I've noticed this now. The tactic is there's a certain wave that lasts for a length of time, and that wave will consist of multiple sub-waves that are different kinds of munitions, right? So you get an initial,
right?
Yes, yeah.
They react.
They attack it. They get attacked, and then they react back. Yeah. Yes.
Could they flip that script to prevent whatever Trump is planning? Like
they might, but I think they're relying on the fact that he's basically killing himself by inches. He's having his own military destroyed department by department. You know that whole bullshit.
Yeah, but would they want to risk their nuclear program and nuclear facilities?
To rescue 2 airmen, they sacrifice
5 or 6? Yeah, 5 or 6.
Yeah, and there's probably several injuries and fatalities and whatever. Yeah,
5 or 6 dead.
Just so he can make a public display that they made the effort to rescue these 2 airmen, right? Think of that as if it took place in Roman times, and that was a Caesar or a Caligula kind of character standing in front of the audience in the Colosseum telling them the same story.
It's that Black Hawk down scenario.
Yeah, it's a really good demonstration of how they have to have these kind of stories because they know the military machine is reliant on public support.
And heroism.
Yeah, because the public operates the factories that make the weapons that they rely on for the modern military conflict zones. And the whole economy is geared towards this concept of producing super expensive, super high-tech weaponry that then gets sent to a foreign country and just explodes. So you have to build it all again. You have to pay for it all again. Do you see how that consumer cycle works? That's the military-industrial complex that they warned about decades ago.
Trump was planning to sue an American journalist who leaked that a plane was shut down over Iran. So he blamed the journalist that the Iranians went out searching for him, for the pilot, and that made the mission
a bounty prize for it.
Made the mission more difficult. But they shut the fucking plane down, so I guess they would know.
Yeah. And this is war, mate. What the fuck did
they don't need the American newspaper to did we shoot we shut one down? Let's go look.
Does he think he's playing in a sandpit where when the other boys knock your tank over, you go, hang on a minute, let me put it back straight again so I can pretend I'm the tank again. Give me a minute. You can't attack me for 30 seconds now.
Yeah. No.
You fucking
go in with a white flag. Yeah, waving a white flag.
And I'm saying that, please be aware I'm just venting because I'm sure we're all aware that he's not making these kind of tactical decisions.
Absolutely not.
Yeah, he's just doing a portrayal to the public in the same kind of way of acting portraying a certain persona and presenting a certain narrative to frame the public's perception.
Yeah, and from a
certain way.
narrative that is not in the know, because he's talking
No.
bullshit, literally horseshit. It doesn't go down like that. It doesn't
The
work
bit
like
where
that.
he said about sending them guns, that you showed a bit of the clip earlier,
Yeah.
because I was thinking of taking the piss and doing a bit of a impression of them. And we sent them eggs, but the people who received the eggs decided to keep them and eat them for themselves, so nobody got the eggs. We said, because the clip is where he's at that fucking Easter party.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and he's talking about how, we never mentioned it before, but by the way, we sent him a fuckload of guns, but the intermediaries, who were probably Israeli agents, Mossad operatives, working.
Admit it. The New York Times had an article about it. Haaretz had an article about it. So yeah,
they decided to keep the weapons instead of handing them over to the Iranian rebels. Isn't that funny? How
and they
that
kept
works?
captive.
Yeah, there you go, guys. Have a whole new restock of equipment.
Those Mossad agents started shooting up police stations and to start riots and to make it easy to get a lawless kind of a thing.
As you mentioned, it's difficult to
they
get
failed.
reliable information, but I think it's
illegal
more than
too.
likely.
That's a war crime too, isn't it? To set up a fucking violent revolution fake.
Yeah, that's it. That's to engineer a coup.
So there you go. It already starts there, and then the war started.
Exactly.
I think, it's all that.
That's what I was going to say. Like, even though it's difficult to prove it in any corroborated.
Well, history will tell us in 70 years.
The big number of people that got killed during that uprising were people killed by those agents.
Yeah.
They weren't people. They weren't Iranians killing
and
each
agents
other like
or soldiers or policemen shooting back.
Yeah. The reason I mentioned that is because I also want to add in, because get into some of the subjects in a minute, or interconnected subjects anyway, but to add in this, because we mentioned King Chucky earlier.
Yeah.
King Chucky did not do an Easter message this year.
No.
Even though I know you know this because I think you included a little clip of it in one of the dailies the last couple of days.
Reminding you, yeah.
Yeah, he made a nice little sort of presentation to some of the Islamic people when he was visiting them. Yeah, and they were celebrating whatever it was. I think it was Ramadan, one of the years, and it was, acknowledging their observance of their holy days and whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And when it comes to Easter, he's not said anything. As far as I know, they've not even put out
something here.
Have they put out any kind of official notification saying he's decided not to do a message this year for some so-called bullshit reason?
We got a tweet.
Yeah, one short
wishing
tweet.
a joyous Easter Sunday to the Christians celebrating in the UK and the Commonwealth and around the world today.
Yeah, so that's it. Which means that's not even necessarily from him. That could be just from his secretary, his department.
Sure, he doesn't fucking tweet with his fat fucking fingers.
No, he doesn't.
He doesn't even know how a smartphone works. Smartphone?
That clip you included today of the old guy talking about the fact that really he's not the king anymore, then is he?
No.
Because the king of the Great Britain is supposed to be a Christian because he's meant to be the head of the Christian church as well.
Yeah, no, he's not.
So if Chucky is sort of letting us all know that he's not really a Christian, if I can say it properly, then surely he shouldn't be on the throne anymore. But I've made that. Oh, he's disconnected himself. I've made that point before over the years a few times. I don't think he's
wrong button.
Well done.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Wrong button.
We all do it at some point. Yeah, that's the wrong hole.
Wrong
button. Yeah,
I did it.
I've mentioned before, I don't think he's a genuine Christian in the first place. I think their whole family have been crypto Jews for generations, probably since they were in Germany, and it was the German family roots, because
there's that story, right, where they sold the birthrights to the Jews at a certain point from the Rothschilds, and the Rothschilds are now Jewifying it with Kate and all those girls.
But when did they buy it? That's what I'm saying. Like, it goes back to that German roots, the German.
Oh, why didn't he do it?
Roots. Yeah.
No. But she dated the Muslims, so that was an issue. I know that.
Yeah. Right. But some claim even I think the Butler guy said it. The only reason, the real reason she was going out with was it Dodi, the guy, the Arab guy she was going out with, was more just to spite the family. She liked him and they got on all right, but she was also doing it for sort of like self-protection reasons because he could provide security for her and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Well, so she thought, yeah.
Well, but a bit like Onassis for JFK, right?
Yeah, you're talking about the firm,
Jackie.
they call him. Yeah. And the firm is just yet another shopfront ring of the deeper network.
Yeah. Again, they're all yacht girls.
yeah.
Basically.
So yeah, Trump supposedly sent them some guns, and that didn't work very well. And then all the rest that's happened since
that's happened.
Weekend events. Yeah.
Yep.
So as I put in my notes, the question mark of the Golden Child resurrection so far doesn't seem to be happening. So maybe similar to my title for last week, maybe it was Error 303, failure to launch New World Order. Possibly. We'll see. I'm still much convinced that the whole purpose of this current progression is to destroy the current American dominance. Even though I know, that's debatable. And, I've listened to people for years arguing about that kind of global political situation, the geopolitical chessboard and all that kind of shit. But certainly in terms of the petrodollar, the financial structure, the trading infrastructure, the dominance of technology and culture, most of it is coming out of that Western society, which is dominated by the Americans. Yeah. And that now is meant to change and transition to be more dominated by the Eastern Bloc, which will be Russia and China, and the others are India and obviously Iran as well. It's all part of the BRICS nations that they've been labelled and joined together. Yeah. Because I think India and Iran are both in there as letter I's, aren't they? So, oi, Spanish, you missed the flat moon earlier. We were showing the proof, the NASA proof that the moon is flat, but you might get some of the clues from some of the other stuff I'm going to show in a minute. I'm going to put another music link in the chat. Let me just find what I did with the link so I can share you the link. Because, I like to give people the link so you can go and look at the original and maybe subscribe to that channel if you like what they're doing, if you like their style of music, whatever. And also, I think in terms of some of the subjects when we're talking about them, I think it makes good habit to be in the practice of sharing your resources, when you find out information. It's just a good academic habit to stick to, giving references to your resources. But I'll play it in just a sec, so I'm putting it in early, so don't spoil your own surprise by clicking on it too soon. I should have put these in while I was playing it, shouldn't I? But I was trying to get to the point of blathering about why I wanted to play it. Like I did with the other one. I know I've played this before, you've heard it before, but I like this song and I think it's very appropriate to play on an Easter weekend. Easter is the primary day of the return of the sun. What does the sun do at the start of every solar year? It rises again. What they're trying to do to us at the moment is to end one chapter and begin another. We still have the opportunity to be at least an influence, if not an outright decider on the shape and formulation of that change and the new direction we're going. In other words, the usual cliche of don't believe their bullshit, we can change the direction of all this stuff if we really wanted to. So yeah, it's about time, I think, for the dragon power to return again.
Could it be your way to
Yeah. If you don't recognise
he's
it,
risen.
yeah. I'll put the link in the chat as you saw what I was blathering. Yeah, it's Patty Gurdy. She calls herself Patty Gurdy.
Yeah.
That was
The
not the
hurdy-gurdy.
latest song I think she's done another one since then, but that was like the final single she released off that new album she put out. So, but yeah, I thought it was appropriate because they're singing about the rising, because she's talking about the sort of resurrection of the dragon in a kind of fantasy game sense. You know, she's very much into that kind of genre of fantasy gaming and, you know, things like what would you call it? Fantasy metal. You know, there's a genre of heavy metal and heavy rock that deals mainly with kind of like fantasy subjects. You know, they sing about elves and
stuff.
and they sing about elves and dwarves and you know, fairy tale kind of stuff. Yeah, she's very much into that kind of thing. So I'm sure for her, she was singing about it in the sense of, you know, she's singing about that kind of concept of the fantasy game dragon being reborn out of the water. But
she's
to
thinking
me at
Skyrim.
the time, yeah, when she released it like last year, and I remember sharing it before and saying like, you know, it is a bit like the cliche from Monty Python, you know, some watery bint handing you a sword, you know, coming out of the lake and handing you a sword, going, "Here you go, mate, now you're the King of England." You know, do you really believe, is that where authority comes from? Some red-haired watery bint singing about dragons and stuff like that. And as somebody said in the chat, you know, that's what you get with fracking. You know, your water starts to set on fire. Which is, definitely a bad effect that can happen from that kind of technology. Spoken about it years ago. So hello, Mimir 409. I'll come back to what you asked in a sec. Boku Wahimodesu. Boku Wahimodesu. Hello. Yeah, that's what you get with fracking. But Meme, I can't say I definitely remember. I might vaguely remember the name, but even when you said it in the chat, like the first thing I thought of was the ambient music group called Tangerine Dream. Yeah, because I know I've got at least one of their CDs. They're very much like Orbital. It's really, how can I describe it? Ambient stereophonic soundscapes. They're not necessarily music. They're not instrumentals necessarily. It's just ambient soundscapes.
You remember Pal Talk?
Yeah,
we used to chat on Pal Talk. He said,
"Yeah,
Meme."
Yeah, it was useful because it was a really good free chat room functionality. Yeah, it was just a freeware little program, third-party program you could use where you could set up.
Sounds like ICQ back in the day, right?
It was, yeah, but it was voice orientated, like rather than text, yeah. But it was basically the same system.
Cool.
They just extended the ICQ and added voice capability to it, basically. You remember TeamSpeak?
Yeah.
Yeah, similar to that.
Still around.
Yeah, TeamSpeak, you can still use it. You still get it. Run your own server, run your own TeamSpeak. Yeah, that's what we used to do. I used to run a separate box with a TeamSpeak running on it 24/7.
I got it somewhere on my system, but don't use it.
I ain't got it on this system.
I'm not competitive.
Yeah, I haven't used it for donkey's years. Not TeamSpeak anyway. Pal Talk, we were using, what was it, like 2012, 2013. I think it sort of got left behind when they brought out the Google Hangouts and we all started using the Google Hangout. Yeah.
Pal Talk. It's like
there was anyone and everyone on there because of the fact it was free and it worked. You know, it did what it said on the tin. So it was good in that sense. You know, if you wanted to set up a room and just chat. You know, remember Keelan?
Resid Radio?
Resistance Radio, yeah. You know, Evolution turns up in the chat every so often. He put up a video just the other day talking about the fact that he's been doing stuff on the internet now for like 20 years.
Donkey years, yeah.
Yeah. So he was one of the people who used to do Resistance Radio. And there's a few on there. Mr. Britt was supposedly the originator of it, but that's not actually the true story. But, you know, the whole thing ended up in a fuckload of drama because of the way he was trying to do stuff. So, yeah, that's the way this shit goes in this environment. He wanted to be the British equivalent of Alex Jones. And once he admitted that to me, well, not just me alone, he was saying this to the group of us, but from about that point, it started to fall apart, basically. Because most of us were sat there going, you what, mate? Fuck that shit.
Yeah, well, a lot of them fell for that kind of a trap, right?
That was part of the that was part of the propaganda manipulation.
I think so, yeah.
And once they moved in on Google, I made this argument back
Kevin
then.
wanted to do it.
We talked about it back then, yeah. The reason they moved in on Google, moved in on YouTube and bought it out with Google was so that they could implement full monetization, not the YouTube partner scheme, which was the way it used to work, which was a bit more of a genuine kind of exchange between you and advertisers, yeah. Instead, they brought in the Google control system, and that was to guarantee to pollute the punch bowl. Because once you start offering easy money to people, all the turds start getting dropped into your punch bowl. Yeah. So, yeah.
Something funny happened on YouTube for me today. I got a warning.
Yeah. Oh.
Let me fucking read it because that makes more sense if I fucking read it.
I remember Stop the Rot, yeah, but I don't think he's active. I haven't seen anything come up on my subscriptions.
So I got a warning on one of my dailies, and it says a copyright strike in 7 days. Your video is scheduled for a removal. Delete it in 7 days to avoid a copyright strike.
All right, so they're giving you the chance to deal with it before you get.
Because the day before, they gave those. They ask you like, we want to know your opinion, and I went on a fucking rant. Like, it's nice that you afterwards, because often the strikes I get are policy strikes, but I go to an automatic policy check, right? That takes about 10 minutes. And then the first thing they do is like not give you a warning, but they give you a strike, right? Yeah. And I said like, "What? This is stupid. Just give me a fucking warning so I can do something about it. Remove the bit that's offensive or whatever, or delete the video." And then a day later, I get this. Now I get a 7-day heads up, like we're gonna remove your. Otherwise, you get a copyright strike. I think okay.
Does it mention anything about you have the opportunity now to edit it and remove the bit that's causing?
No, I have to remove the video within 7 days.
You have to take the whole video down.
Yeah, I know what bit it is, so I can do that and re-upload it.
Yeah, edit it and then re-upload it, which means your view count will be reset on it.
Yeah, and so for all the daily, it doesn't make sense because that's on all the daily.
Yeah. And I bet you because you've received that notification, that video will now be ignored by the algorithm. So it will basically be dumped.
Yeah.
So you won't
pick copyright on what could be BBC, could be CNN, could be mostly is something like that. Or music, but music is not.
It can't be. It shouldn't be any of the news resources, right? Because you have fair use.
It could be a funny clip from the BBC, maybe.
Including academic information. You can claim a fair use right on academic information. The only thing that you can't really claim is anything that's clearly intellectual property right creations, such as music tracks in their complete sense, or too much of their complete sense. Or stories, movie stories, that kind of thing. You can't sort of claim fair use.
I had that girl in the daily that makes original music on YouTube.
That got AI copy.
And AI bot fucking steals it.
Because now Google keeps recommending her videos to me. And I meant to ask you, are these genuinely her ones or are these the
I don't know. I looked
at them.
That's what she's running into. Like, she's now getting copyright strike for original content.
Yeah, you're probably right then. Yeah, I bet you.
Maybe this kind of a 7-day kind of a heads up kind of avoids that, so you can now go into claims and do shit like that.
Right.
Because this is new to me. Like, and I kind of like this. This is okay. I just wish I would just be able to edit the bit out, but That's even
That,
better.
well, to my memory anyway, that was how YouTube used to work before Google took it over. You would get a warning about the content of your video, and you'd be given some time to edit it or alter it and re-upload it or whatever. Yeah, they wouldn't just give you an Insta strike. We started getting the Insta strikes after Google moved in.
And after the fact, after they
automated
did their fucking checks and right.
Yeah.
That's what's annoying, because I don't know, because the last strike we got was for an older daily. And there was some Iranian propaganda in there.
Yeah.
Whatever that means, but again, I could edit that bit out if they don't like it and just watch on Rumble if you want the full version. Rumble doesn't do that. But this is a new message. I never got this. So I don't know if more YouTubers get this shit now.
Well, we'll see. You never know. Yeah, YouTube is certainly not what it used to be. It's certainly not
still shit,
YouTube anymore. Yeah. But we do what we can with what we got where we are at the moment. We need to. So
yeah, and watch when we upload them
Celebrating.
or when we live, because it might not be there the next day. That's just it, right? You just don't know, right? But yeah, at least I don't get a strike, so we can still fucking stream and do all the things.
Yeah.
Because another strike would have meant that we would have been on a 2-week ban. So I just got one.
Yeah. Well, that's part of the reason of having multiple channels as well.
Yeah, I got a backup
So
as
at
well.
least we can sort of
I got a backup,
between
but I only want to use it when Starfish is gone.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
Not for a strike, right? Because
No, I was thinking more about the fact that we can just carry on with the broadcast on my channel and on the Rumble channel and stuff like that. Yeah.
Or on Rob's. I got Rob's channel as well.
Yeah.
Kitties.
I gave you the link for the Patty Gurdy, didn't I? Yeah, the watery
so,
bin singing about dragons, and I gave you the one for the Hayseed Dixie. Right, this one, I'll give you the link for this, and I would recommend, if you're interested in the kind of subject matters I'm often rambling and ranting about, especially when it comes to the electric universe theory, the plasma reality stuff that I'm often banging the drum for. I would recommend watching this video. I'm going to just screen share a quote from towards the end of it, because this is a quote I remember. And I know I've used it myself in the past, so I've certainly used this half of it. The full quote includes a little bit more, where he's talking about his credentials, basically, by making the argument that, he's been doing this kind of research and peer-reviewed publishing of his theories and stuff for a long time, such that you can't really say he's been an agent of the woo-woo kind of thing, but I now need to flick the screen back to the other one. There we go. So do that one on the screen. But yeah, basically he's just using a bit of self-authority to say, look, I'm not the kind of person that would be making this shit up. Yeah, I deal in hard science. I do the research. I do the experiments. But if you know of somebody called Max Planck, you might be aware of the fact that he's quite, he's up there in the higher echelons of academic notoriety as being one of the primary physicists of our, certainly this last century. Maybe even the last couple of centuries, because I think, he's rubbing shoulders with Newton and people
Einstein
like that. So,
and those guys. Well, Einstein was
some people would that's all I'd point out. I generally would say the same, yes, but I know we'll end up in that debate of, Einstein being a bit of a...
He was more so of a...
Yeah, he liked having somebody else to tie his shoelaces for him. But yeah, this quote from Max Planck: all matter arises and exists only by virtue of a force which sets the atomic particles oscillating and holds them together in that tiniest of solar systems. We must suppose behind the force a conscious, intelligent spirit. This spirit is the ultimate origin of matter. That's end quote. I should have said quote and end quote, but You can see it on the screen. If you're not looking at the screen, you just have to take my word for it. Unless you look into it for yourself, go and research it for yourself. But yeah, just his quote and that video itself, that's from a channel I've often recommended, a channel called Academy of Ideas. I've followed them for years. They've always had really what I think is good content. You know, whether you take my word for it or not, you know, you can think I'm a cunt, I don't care. If you like what they do, go and check it out. They cover the subjects of psychology, spirituality, culture. To me, it's good stuff. It's good philosophical considerations, the subjects they cover. And that one is them talking about the problem of materialism as a concept in science at the moment, right? Because materialism has dominated scientific thinking for more than a century now. Since the beginnings of the last century. Again, this is a subject that we've often talked about on these broadcasts, the way science changed in the beginning of last century. And all of a sudden, everything started getting geared towards oil-based production systems and materialistic science-based principles. So people like Tesla were subdued, his ideas were ridiculed and labeled as being just heretical and crazy, and he was labeled as being crazy and whatever. Other inventors and researchers in a similar kind of fashion. Some were also just the equivalent of cancelled during that timeline, in the sense of they never got any coverage. We never told about them. You never informed about them. I mean, hardly anyone knows about Birkeland, yet Birkeland made some of the most important discoveries to do with electricity and plasma that have a major influence on the development of the kind of technologies that we're often talking about. Yeah, stuff that I will usually use the label Tesla tech, because I find that an easy way to sort of encapsulate what I know a lot of people have got at least an inkling of comprehension of. When you say Tesla tech, I think most people know, oh, you're talking about that kind of making energy out of nothing, magic science kind of stuff, you know, and causing earthquakes and making death rays and all that shit that was supposedly attributed to him. Yeah, I know some of his research lends towards those potentialities, but it's been very cartoonified and simplified for the consumption of the general populace. Yeah, but there's a whole lot of other evidence out there. There's a whole lot of other scientists and researchers. They're not even necessarily academics. You know, when you get into some of these subjects, you will often find the best information, the most reliable and genuine information does not come from the academic world, because the academic world has been controlled by the current status quo of the system for more than 200 years, 300, yeah, more than 300 years.
Yeah, it's dogmatic.
Yeah, because you're talking about what was done by initially the Catholic Church and that domination and control of scientific knowledge, which they made use of in many ways. Yeah, the church helped propagate the technology of windmills from the Middle East to Northwest Europe, allegedly. Yeah, according to their own historical accounts. You know, some would argue that the Northwestern Europeans were already aware of that kind of thing. Yeah, thanks, mate, but we're not necessarily that dumb, you know. But there is plenty of evidence to show the movement of that kind of information from other parts of the world being controlled and shared out, doled out by the control of the church, who got to make the choice of who had access to what level of technology.
It's part of the Enlightenment movement, right, back in the day.
Hence,
so
groups like
what they did was kind of
Freemasons.
copied the priesthood system. Like you have your high priest and your lower priest, and so you have your academics, your professors, your
and
high professors, or whatever.
Well, they would have been called some kind of clergy. They would have had some kind of clergy attribution. Like I said, it would have been a bishop or a vicar, something like that. Yeah. But at the same time, they would have been considered a scholar of a particular subject matter. Yeah. So they would be doing scientific research, which was enabled by the funding of the church. Because remember, the further back in time you go, the less expendable time people have to do things like we're doing now, sit around and talk about complicated ideas. Yeah.
Mhm.
Although I'm sure some people say we don't talk about anything complicated at all. But the point being is, the more productivity you have to sustain your population, your little tribal group, the more time people have to invest in something that's not about getting basic resources and necessities of life. Yeah. All right, good evening, Ulrich. Good to see you in the chat. So, in other words, the more efficient and successful your tribe is at providing for its basic needs, the more time some of the tribe will have available to them to work on concepts and ideas that are not necessarily anything to do with everyday sustenance. So you get the development of things like astronomy and priesthoods and shamanism and animism and all these kind of various ideas that become encapsulated into a career role within the tribal group. So there'll be a wise man or a witch doctor or a shaman or a druid.
It's like it's kind of like what Fauci did, right? I am the science.
Yes, I am the science keeper. Yeah.
Yeah, right. I'm the oracle. All I speak is truth or whatever.
Yeah. So science and religion used to be unified into a singular thing. And then the churches come along, and I say the churches because it wasn't just the Catholic Church. Other religious systems did the same thing. Yeah, Gnostic hierarchy principle, as you said. Yeah, you have that kind of tiered structure of the top priest, then the slightly lesser priests, then the lesser priests, then the and it keeps going down in that structure. That way, they can compartmentalize the information, the knowledge, the law, LORE and LAW.
Caste system
over a caste system of gnosis, of Gnosticism, knowledge, knowledge base, epistemology, I suppose you could say.
You have to get to the inner circle.
Just have to throw some big words in there to make it sound like I'm clever and shit. Yeah. I know words in more than 3 syllables. It's fucking great, isn't it? But you roll that forward over the centuries, and that what used to be controlled by the church eventually becomes necessary to institute it into a separate thing. Yeah. So during the Elizabethan age, you get the founding of the Royal Society. And please don't forget that Sir John Dee, the mystic, the magician, the Kabbalist, the demonologist, Sir John Dee, the guy who created the formula for the secret services, the military intelligence, the spy agencies of the British Empire, basically. They started to formulate what ends up becoming the Royal Society. At first, there was already groups of academics that were gathering together in some of the major cities in the UK and in Europe, obviously, not just the UK. But those little groups were not official institutions. They were like private interest led. There were people who had enough money to be able to have the time to take the interest in these kind of subject matters. They did their own private research. They funded their own research, etc., etc. Yeah. They were like the alchemist who lives at the corner of the street kind of thing. Yeah. They would be doing their own investigations, their own scholarly work. But once the Royal Society is instituted, those little groups all start to get amalgamated under its banner, and the state takes control of the development of knowledge and the control of knowledge. Prior to then, knowledge was down to whoever had the most money to take possession of it. So people like Machiavelli in the Venetian city-state system, which I've mentioned many times because I think this is
my library is bigger than your library.
Yeah, exactly. It's a modus operandi that they're trying to reimpose onto modern society. Some people I've even referred to it as neo-feudalism, but I think the Venetian city-state system is more akin to what we're talking about. Yeah, and Machiavelli was the king of kings of that Venetian city-state system. So yeah, he understood the control of information. He bought a lot of information. He controlled a lot of information, which is, like you said, yeah, his library was far bigger than every other fucker's. Really? Even though some of when we say library, it's not necessarily a physical book. It could be a master
Scroll.
spy. Yeah, or it could be a scroll. Yeah. But I mean, in the sense of it
Sorry.
could be knowledge in other people's heads.
Yeah.
He could be paying and funding research and development being done by knowledgeable, scholarly people to do that kind of stuff for him.
There was a time before the written stuff, right? Before books, so a lot of it was oral. The real history comes from oral history.
Yes.
It wasn't written down.
No, exactly.
So maybe in stone there
was,
could be some hints,
no,
but
no, there was a reason for why it was only ever passed on verbally.
I think so too. And in again, there you go into the priesthood and why it is kind of important, but for the important stuff and not for futile control humans and that kind of shit, right?
And the esoteric reasons of why it should never ever be fixed into this reality in that kind of way.
No, it should be on a progressive path and not on a regressive.
And it also should only ever be in the mind. That's what I mean. It's never ever meant to be physical. Even the ancient Egyptian Pharaoh, I can't remember his name now, but it's in the Egyptian mythology. When Thoth presents writing to the Pharaoh, like it's his best invention. This is something I've argued for many years as well. Writing a language is a technology, and you'll help your comprehension by viewing it in that kind of way. Yeah, because in the same way as you can modify an engine, you can modify language, and it causes an effect in its use and performance and whatever. Yeah? That's what Orwell was trying to help us understand. But yeah, when Thoth presented the principle of writing to the Pharaoh said, "This is dangerous. This means people will stop remembering stuff. People will stop using their mind because it will just be written down for them." He was saying the equivalent to what we say now about AI. Yeah. So what a lot of us are saying now about AI is like, look, it will take over your life because it will replace what you currently are capable of doing yourself. So therefore you will become useless. You'll become extraneous to the system. The Pharaoh said the same to Thoth. He said, look, if we adopt this principle of physical writing, then people will become less mentally capable. They'll become idiots. Yeah, and lo and behold, here we are now. There's other esoteric reasons as well to do with the physical entrapping of ideas. Yeah, because if this is based on, again, Hermetic principles.
Was Tammuz, the king of Egypt, Tammuz.
Are you sure?
It's the myth of Thoth. Yeah, in Plato's play Hades, Socrates recounts the story where the Egyptian god Thoth presented this invention of writing to the king of Egypt, Tammuz, claiming it will make the Egyptians wiser and improve their memory.
Yeah, I didn't remember that it's Tammuz because that's the same name in the in Gilgamesh. The hero in Gilgamesh is called Tammuz at one point as well. Interesting connection again. Etymological, epistemological connection in that mythological root. So how many ologies can I fit
it's
in?
that right. That's the oral story that's handed off to Socrates and then to Plato, who wrote it down, who let it write down in one of his fucking lectures because he couldn't write. He didn't write because he was against it.
Socrates didn't know, but Plato used to make notes of what he supposedly said.
Oh, I thought he had a scribe, like that he had a scribe that wrote all.
No, because he was of the opinion, similar to myself, that the stuff shouldn't be written down.
Right.
So Socrates was going from the same principle. Yeah, you should not be writing this down. You should be.
Oh, Plato was like, oh, fuck it, I'll write it down. Okay.
Yeah, Plato's attitude was like, well, no, this is what my dad did. This is what my sires did, because he was a descendant of Solon, and Solon was the great law writer. So they were scholarly academics. They were used to like writing scrolls and whatever.
Yeah, I could go on a side rant because there is some oral history on in Holland as well, and the book of fuck, I forget the name. There's an old book like that, but that originates from oral history and got written down because the family was dying down. there was nobody to hand it over to. That was the reason why they started writing it down, because he didn't have sons and daughters to hand it over to. So there could be a valid reason to write shit down. The book of...
Yeah, because human memory is fallible.
It's a Frisian book, like it goes back 7,000 years. The oral history is.
I'm sure I know.
It's
I'm
passed
sure
on just after the flood, and
yeah. So I'm sure I know what you reference it. I can't remember the name of it either, mate, but
I'll know in a minute.
I'm sure I've heard other people cover it.
Mm-hmm.
But right, okay, let me quickly skip on because we're already. It's going to be another later one again. I think I'm starting to develop a habit of 3-hour shows because I do actually want to play some of this stuff for you because I think it's important and relevant in terms of the subject matter.
Well, if Rob was here, we would have gone into this way earlier.
Yeah, I definitely want Rob to see this, and I want him to see the whole
Rob,
video.
Take note.
Not just this bit. This is the main bit that's connected into the stuff I'm referencing, yeah? But I think he'd appreciate the whole video. This was a video done recently on the After School channel, which again is another channel I've often recommended. I know it's not necessarily some of the sort of hard-hitting kind of subject matter that we often talk about, but I think the way he presents information and the way he makes information, complicated ideas and complicated concepts, he makes them accessible to an everyday audience. I'm not saying that to be belittling, but he helps people comprehend stuff. Yeah, that's why it's called After School. It's meant to be an educational thing. It's not just for entertainment's sake. But he did one with Rupert Sheldrake recently, where Sheldrake's talking about his research into why plants have this biological imperative to grow like a bar magnet, in the sense of the green shoots will come out one end and the root stems will come out the bottom end. And even if this is not necessarily true for every single plant, but this holds true for pretty much all of them. Like some of them die when you cut them up, basically. But for most of them, if you then take a cutting from a plant and you segment it, and he uses willow branches as his example, right? And he shows some examples of these willow branches that have been cut up into little like 2-inch lengths. And then at either end, they start spouting. At one end, the leaf sprouts come out, and at the other end, the roots come out. And all of the cuttings do the same thing. The leaf sprouts come out one end, root cuttings come out the other end. And there's, as I say, there's a lot more to this video than just that. But I wanted to show this one bit because this is talking about and I think I've got to unmute it for you to be able to hear the sound. Hopefully you can hear it. Let me know if you can't.
When we look at the way in which auxin is transported in a polar way in higher plants.
Sorry,
I just want to say one more thing about polarity. There's an aspect of polarity which has been very much ignored by researchers, and that's electrical polarity. It's been known for a long time that when spores or eggs germinate, there's a polarity between electrical polarity between the bit that becomes the root and the bit that becomes the shoot. The whole thing is electrically polarized. It's very well known, in fact, that the Earth, the roots are in the Earth, of course, the Earth is electrically charged in a negative direction in relation to the atmosphere. And the further up from the Earth you go, the greater the difference. The difference near the Earth is enormous. It's not microvolts or anything. It's about 100 volts per meter. So if you go a meter off the ground, there's 100 volts difference between the air there and the ground. 2 meters is 200 volts. And when you look at a diagram here showing the polarity of the Earth and some coniferous trees, there's an enormous polar envelope. And a tree, because it's connected to the soil through the sap growing up through the wood, which is electrically conductive, the tree is negatively charged, sticking up into the positive atmosphere. And so there's a big difference between the tree and the air around it, which means that the electric tips of the tree and of the branches and of the shoots attract positive ions, and they affect the electric field all around them, as you see on the left.
Just I didn't finish that sentence. Sorry, I don't like to cut it part way. But yeah, that's okay. So you could hear the audio. That was the main thing. So you could explain what you're looking at. But yeah, making the point about the fact that, well, the most obvious explanation for his experiments that show that the plants sort of push the sprouts out on one side and the roots out on the other is because what you're looking at is the electromagnetic field of the plant itself. So the biological item, and I mean, it's not just biological items that have this, but obviously, yeah, this is an important part of it. The biological item has a polarity, and the flow of energy seems to encourage or dictate, maybe even, the way the principles work, where the top of the thing is, where the top is, and where the bottom is in terms of its biological needs. The plant understood, or the plant's DNA knew, that it needed to have one thing at one end and one thing at the other. Yeah, the roots that suck up water and stuff, obviously at one end, and that what goes in the ground, and then the leaves at the other end, and that's what gets the photosynthesis response. But they're also feeding on the electricity itself. It goes into further explanations of some of this, which I'd encourage you watch the full video if you've got the time and interest. But it basically, again, helps people, I think, understand how your biological life, your biological existence, the very cells in your body are reliant on the constant flow of this electrical circuit, this electrical energy. And one of the main reasons why I wanted to show this particular sort of demonstration of that, because Sheldrake's covered this kind of subject matter many times over the years, and he does have some really good, interesting ideas and the evidence to back them up. So go and check his work out if you've never seen it before. I'd recommend looking at the morphogenic fields if you've never heard of that before. But this image he uses just to explain why the plants are growing in a certain direction and shape and size, etc. In a way, yes, right. Buoyancy in a way does have something to do with it, yeah, because you are operating within an environment that has a plane to it, yeah, because you're talking about the toroidal field, and in the middle of that toroidal field, like cutting a donut in half, the plane in the middle, like where the ground is on that image, that's the separating line between the two fields. Yeah, on one side it's positive, on the other side it's negative. The same as in a battery, right? The same principle as how basic energy generation works, which again is why I thought it would be helpful to show this diagram along with his information, with his explanation. Right, because the other thing is on this, and I'm saying on this as if I'm pointing at it. Let me get back to the image so I can point at it. Yeah, the line of the ground is where the charge changes. And this is why I say this is relevant to the Tesla Tech information. Because for one thing, I think if anyone's interested in what's usually referred to as electroculture, which is the use of electricity and copper equipment, copper tools, copper gardening tools, copper wire. I think Spanish mentioned it in the chat a little bit ago. Yeah, this is what encourages the flow of the electrons, so it acts in a kind of positive, a conducive growth environment for the plants. This is also why many people will recommend that you pre-polarize your seeds by leaving them for a day or two on a magnet. I think you put it on the South Pole, but check that. I'm not 100% sure. But I'm pretty certain the usual recommendation is put it on the South Pole. Something to do with the direction it encourages. Yeah, Lobsam, if you remember, please type it in the chat, or let us know, and we can sort of do it, people, that kind of info. But yeah, the other reason I wanted to show this image and hear his explanation is because he helps explain the way our electrical field in the atmosphere is like a shell within a shell. It's like a Russian doll, or nested doll, as you're supposed to call them these days, because saying Russian is allegedly racist. It's like a fucking Russian doll, yeah? It's a shell within a shell within a shell. This is also why I've often recommended looking at the information about the Sapphire Project, because their experiments clearly showed the development of those shells. When you create the right plasma environment, then nature naturally forms the energy, the electricity, the plasma, the charged plasma, because that's all plasma is. It's electrically charged gas. Well, it's a bit more than gas because the particles are broken down further than gas, but electrically charged vapor, whatever, that forms naturally into shells that are based on the step changes of the level of charge. So every time you turn the charge up another change, like another amount, it's a square root principle, that you get that step change, the square step change. I can't remember the proper terminology of it. Any electrical engineers out there will be able to correct me on what it's meant to be called. But yeah, the sort of step change that occurs whenever you turn up the voltage charge. Nature naturally forms that kind of shell structure. So our atmosphere works on the same principle. So right at the ground level, where the two charges are only a sheet away from each other, a barrier away from each other, that's the lowest level of charge. But every time you go up a certain distance, and he mentions, like, if you go up this far in the atmosphere, the charge goes up to this level. And that holds true all the way out as far as we can supposedly, allegedly measure. The Van Allen belts are meant to be the sort of culmination of the worst part possible for us, for our biology, which is why I've suggested, and many other people have said the same thing, that no biological stuff has ever been outside the Van Allen belt. Some people argue that they were able to create magnetic fields around the astronauts and that's what protected them. But whatever, we end up in an endless debate about that shit because they can't show good enough evidence and we just keep asking questions. The NASA game goes round and round. But the point about this is to demonstrate, one, the electroculture connection with biological life, particularly in terms of plants and plant growth, why and how it is helpful for plants to have that kind of positive electron, that kind of electrified environment. When you then combine that with carbon dioxide, you should hopefully get an abundance of growth. Let me just read what Robson's put in. South pole of very powerful magnet exposed seeds for 2 hours or more will alter the way the seed provides its own structure. Branches, roots will be more symmetrical, dense, and have heightened. So it helps the growth of the plant, doesn't it? It makes it stronger and more energetic, more energized. Yeah. That's the explanation I've heard many times before. I've never actually tried doing it myself. I'm reliant on what I've heard many people talk about, and I've heard people give direct first-hand experience evidence of doing it and it being successful. And I trust them enough to take their word for it. So yeah, there's that environment that we are part of. And a lot of the academic world is now being forced to accept that materialism and the conceptual principles that a lot of modern science has been built on no longer work or no longer help to explain what we're witnessing and what we're experiencing. The James Webb, welcome back, mate.
I'm back.
Yeah, hope your doggy feels better.
Yeah.
Meep meep. Hello.
Relieved.
To the meep, meep. Yeah, I bet.
Meep meep. Yeah.
But to that standard model explanation, the James Webb Telescope recently has been demonstrating how there's a hell of a lot of stuff out there that the standard model explanation of astrophysics just doesn't work on. They can't explain very well how these things are happening out there. It's a lot of the standard model is falling apart and stopped being functional. Yeah, I've talked about this multiple times. I've been banging this drum for fucking years. So we need a reassessment in the scientific world. What's his first name? I think it's James Kuhn, the writer who wrote about scientific paradigm shifts. I mentioned him the other night. I've still got to get fucking round to reading that book, man. I've got too many books.
Familiar. I think you're right about that. Yeah.
Yeah, but he talked about how it takes. It's almost like an earthquake. You get a sort of build up of pressure, and eventually there's something that gives, and then all of a sudden everybody starts shifting to the new version of reality, and then within a short while everybody's saying, well, what do you mean it's so? That was old school, mate. Nobody believes that anymore. Everybody knows it's not that. You know, it becomes
kind of with the weirder and weirder kind of a thing, right?
Yeah.
McKenna was predicting, and I don't know, that the Russia guy that with the curved bell, that we reach a peak and then we fall off.
Fucking hell, Khrushchev.
Yeah.
I think isn't it Khrushchev or Khrushchev?
Yeah.
The civilization level things. Yeah, that's him as far as I remember. So and I'm trying to rush ahead because I could say a hell of a lot more about that video and about Sheldrake's work that connect into some of this stuff that I'm trying to point at. And a big reason why I'm wanting to show you this stuff at the moment is because you may have heard me say it a few times when Pete and myself have been talking recently. I keep using this phrase that I don't know if anyone else has been saying it, a soft disclosure. The reason I'm calling it soft disclosure is because they're never going to really do what could be defined as a hard disclosure, in the sense of they're not going to have a bunch of aliens land on the White House lawn and come out and go.
That would be true disclosure.
Yeah, they're not going to have that happening with that level of revelation. Yeah. But what they can do, and what serves the purpose to a large degree of certain elements of this paradigm shift that they're trying to push on us, the technocracy is not going to work based on the current oil-based energy supply system. They know this. This is part of the reason for the current escalation with Trump and Iran. Yeah. Not only do they want to maybe destroy or certainly disable and debilitate the American empire. You know, they want to end the American empire, bring in this Eastern empire conglomerate that will become the new world dominating power. And at the same time, we're going through a technocratic, technological paradigm shift that will include beginning the population of the solar system itself. So the Artemis mission to the moon is to prepare the ground to set up a moon base. The moon base is to prepare the ground to go and populate Mars. Once we start doing that, we're going to be mining and gathering the resources from both those locations. Yeah. So our technological progression is going to take a leap ahead, because once you've got access to solar system levels of resources, there's going to be no argument about scarcity on the planet. You want coal. There's basically the equivalent of an infinite amount of coal out there. We've just got to have the technological ability to go out and gather it and bring it back. Yeah. Pretty much every element imaginable, including rare earth metals and minerals, which are required for the higher levels of technology, right? So it serves the purpose of this paradigm shift in multiple ways, for them to not only acknowledge, but also begin admitting to and allowing to be released newer forms of energy generation. And I'm not talking about the green agenda bullshit. I'm starting to be more inclined towards the green agenda coming to a crashing halt within the next few years. Because it's being demonstrated, isn't it, with this conflict, that the green agenda is utterly fucking meaningless. We all, certainly, like for those of us that talk about this kind of subject matter, we've been very aware for a long time that it's bogus. But now, with all the revelations that have been happening since COVID, even the general population is starting to become more averse to the very concept. They're no longer being easily manipulated into thinking they're saving the planet because they're a nice person and they just want to do good. They're realizing that they're being tricked. They're realizing that they're being exploited with this green agenda replacement of energy production shit. They're being told they got to deal with less and less and less. They've been told they got to live with less in a harsher environment. Yeah, that's making more and more people go, hang on a minute, what do you mean we ain't got enough energy? More data centers. Why do we need more fucking data centers that consume all this fucking power? And then we have to have less just to feed the data center, just so we can stick boobs on anything and everything with the AI. You know, more people are starting to at least say, hang on a minute, no, we don't want this green agenda shit. We're not buying it anymore. Yeah. I'm a nice guy. I want to do good for the world, but I don't buy that the green agenda will do that. No, sorry, fuck off. Millibot, fuck off. Yeah. A lot more people have been calling Miliband out on his net zero craziness, even on Parliament floor. I think I saw it a few days ago or last week sometime. Them talking about how Miliband was crazy to consider net zero at the moment with the conflict in the Middle East. Yeah, because Kemi Badenoch has been pressuring them to start drilling in the North Sea and shit like that again. So his idea of pursuing the net zero project has been, yeah, we'll see. But this soft disclosure concept, as I'm calling it, is I think instead of, as I said, they're not going to stick aliens in front of the White House, but they might allow us to have access to some technology that could potentially have been back engineered from what we would generally call alien tech or something.
That's
like
not
that.
new work, okay?
No, we've had similar discussions before. Like, I still question the transistor.
Yep.
You know, how did that
circuitry? Yep.
I know you could say somebody just had an amazing revelation of an innovation, yeah, but the way it affected the entire global technological production, yeah, mate, it was as groundbreaking as a printing press.
I'm double on it because that's the ancient history kind of a thing, right? The angle.
Mm-hmm.
So the circuitry, what you see in certain structures, right? It looks like a fucking computer chip.
Yeah.
That thing, and now we're seeing it again in the miniature kind of thing. Okay, you also see it in cathedrals. There are certain patterns in cathedrals that are linked to circuitry and frequency and
you know I've been shouting that for years, right?
I know.
I say shouting simply because I feel I'm constantly sort of trying to deal with the noise of the silliness, like the Tartaria.
It's those cycles, right? Again, we're doing the same thing that we probably did many times before. So yeah,
I'll put the link in.
Oh, this is good.
Video. Well, let me just copy it and then I'll start it playing and let you listen while I'm pasting the link in. This is from Jeffrey Drum's channel, Jeffrey Drum channel, which is called The Land of Chem. I'll put the link in a sec so you can find your way there if you want to. And I would again recommend watch the whole video. This is one of his regular uploads that he does usually once a week that covers this kind of subjects. Yeah. If you're interested in this kind of stuff, I would very much recommend subscribing to his channel and checking out a lot of the back catalogue of stuff on there. You'd be amazed at how much effort and time he's put into researching this idea, this hypothesis theory, because it's multiple hypothesis links, to give the final conclusion kind of thing. I don't necessarily agree with him on everything, but I think he's got one of the best and functioning hypotheses that we've had ever in modern times anyway. Maybe, a few centuries ago, there were other people who were figuring out things along a similar line. But if they were, the system came along and subdued their information in the same kind of way as it usually does. But now it seems to be different, because now it seems that this kind of revelation of, oh yeah, we used to have this kind of technology back in the ancient times. Now we can have it again. That's that kind of soft disclosure I'm talking about. They're not going to come right out on the main news and go, hey, folks, somebody invented an infinite energy machine, so you're never going to have to pay for energy again. They're not going to do that. But allowing this kind of knowledge to gradually be incorporated into the social logos of what's considered common knowledge, it will get absorbed by industry, and they will commercialize it, and they'll turn it into engines of business and profit. So in other words, you as an general consumer, you won't benefit in the way that somebody like Tesla envisaged. Yeah, he wanted to be able to give people electricity for free, no charge, because it is available for free at no charge. And to all intents and purposes, for what we use energy for, it's infinite. Yeah. When we start trying to leave the solar system, then yeah, maybe we'll need a bit more. But for our general human uses, the output of the atmospheric electrical engine, the generator that is the Earth's atmosphere, produces an infinite amount of energy for our needs. Tesla understood that, and he demonstrated how to tap into it. And what Jeffrey Drum is adding to, because he's not the only person covering these subjects, yeah? The Thunderbolts Project, the Electric Universe guys have all been building this work steadily for years now. But I'm already doing my usual. Talking too much, I'll shut up and let it play, and I'll paste the link while you're listening.
All right, now, as I was preparing for this episode and contemplating the structure and features of the Shatra, I remembered this paper from Anthony Peratt, member of the Thunderbolts Project team and pioneer researcher in plasma discharge formations as related to ancient symbolism, entitled Characteristics for the Occurrence of a High Current Z-Pinch Aurora as Recorded in Antiquity, where he presents the connection between high voltage plasma Z-Pinch formations and images that we find in Neolithic art across the planet. All right, everyone, I hope you're enjoying the video, and please remember to subscribe to the Land of Chem here on YouTube if you're interested in the physics and chemistry technology of a lost civilization and the function of the Egyptian pyramids and other ancient structures from across the world. Thank you all so much for the support. Now, back to the video. And as soon as I saw these images of the plasma Z-Pinch formation, I immediately knew I had uncovered another layer of this esoteric symbolism that was built into the features of the Japanese Shatra as these toroidal plasma formations that were generated under experimental conditions, and the petroglyphs found across the planet are perfectly reflected in the toroidal horin of the Shatra, known as the sacred rings. So once again, the Shatra is not only a functional artifact that operates as a lightning rod to attract and distribute this high voltage electric current plasma discharge, but also encodes the ancient wisdom of the celestial scale plasma discharge formations that were seen across the sky during our ancient past, as presented in the epic series, Symbols of an Alien Sky, describing the celestial Z-Pinch formation that was witnessed by our ancient ancestors across the world, creating planetary scale displays of these plasma phenomenon that were encoded in various ways. For example, in the Hindu-Buddhist Varja, the thunderbolt weapon, directly representing these various plasma figure formations. And the eyes of the owl, another of these plasma figures discovered experimentally by Peratt that were also integrated into the Venus plasma body figure that you can see here, that were then modeled by the ancient Japanese Jomon civilization that thrived from around 14,000 BCE to around 3,000 BCE, that witnessed these same celestial phenomenon, building them with clay figurines. A perfect example of which is known as the Arhabaki, the lightning plasma deity of the ancient Jomon, who has both the owl eyes and the Venus body figure.
I forgot I'd muted myself, so you didn't hear me snorting and coughing while listening to that. Yeah, the main point on that, of me showing you that, is again to reiterate how there was this ancient knowledge about how reality worked, as in it was an electromagnetic force, not bumping particles, not tiny little balls of stuff, that bounce around like balls on a billiard table or pool table, as often the analogy goes. It's electrical forces that, in the process of their generation and transmission, cause certain shapes and forms to emanate in the natural processes, as in the way nature works, the way reality works, is this stuff forms into these shapes just through the natural effect of the pressure mediation effects. So, I mean, some of those images you can see, some of them are from laboratory experiments like these. The images in the middle, they're taken from some of the early lab experiments. This is actually from the paper that he mentions at the start, from Peratt's paper, which you can go and look at online if you want. So you can go and read this for yourself if you think he's bullshitting or trying to be deceptive with the content or whatever. But this as well I find interesting in the sense of the legend of the rings. There's 9 that tend to form at full capacity in this plasmoid. As in when this plasmoid is at full form, there's 9 rings. Because I think once the power's lowered or higher beyond that, it changes shape again.
Well, that's what I said, right? 6, 9.
Yeah, it's like it grows rings up to it until it reaches 9. And then beyond that, it changes into something else completely different. And of course, fuck's sake, I should have clipped this and made it into a separate little video, really, so I could get at each bit better. But this is right. I know this is a point I've made many times.
It's kind of the spinal cord as well, isn't it? Like,
and because this video was him talking about the Jed pillar, right? So I think the reason he wanted to explain some of this is because it's relevant to the shape of the Jed pillar. I'll scroll forward in a bit and show you what I mean. But just to make the point, I've shown many times there's various different petroglyphs that match these plasmoid shapes. And I've made this point endlessly. This is what they often refer to as the squatter man. But this is it this is full form. So this is when the power is conducive, the power is going at a high enough flow that this is the totality of the form it produces. But in other examples, you'll see it's not quite fully defined because of how much power is going through it and stuff like that. So it's not always that full, complete shape. Sometimes it's just part of it, which is why often they found petroglyphs that look like what they refer to as the squatter man. So it's somewhat humanoid shape with a head, with 2 arms held upwards and his legs apart, spread like he's squatting. Often this center part didn't form. So all they were seeing was kind of like the stick man. And the owl, I looked at that myself many years ago before I'd even encountered the electric universe plasmoid stuff. And I remember looking at it and thinking, could that be where they get the symbolism of the owl from? The way the magnetic fields form like this inside a Birkeland current. Because if they somehow had the ability to view this stuff, because we're looking at it on a screen. When these laboratory images were created, they were doing it in a laboratory setup using highly technical equipment and whatever. So how the fuck did the ancients
does
see
nature
this
replicate this?
Where I can't think of how they would see the owl eyes, the goggle eyes, the squatter man shape. I know that can appear in the sky, from the atmospheric effects, which is meant. This is need anything from for fuck's sake.
Oh, nice.
Fucking Google.
I'm hungry.
Well, I'm going to leave it at that because there's no way I'm fucking sharing that shit. But yeah, it was just showing the remains of a lightning rod from industrial site. I can't remember what he said it was. The site was that was recovered in like the early 1900s, and it had been hit by a heavy lightning bolt such that it had destroyed the conductor. But they'd kept the one bit because it demonstrated how the lightning had caused the metal to reform to create a Z, what they ended up calling a Z pinch. So yeah, that kind of
what Bob Greenyer is doing as well, right? With his experiments and
yes, but he's focused mainly on the low energy nuclear reactions.
Yeah, Leonard,
which are similar but not exactly the same way to generate energy.
No, but you get these pinch effects and
yeah. The way I think they would, the one that
toroidal distortions and whatever.
Bob Key, don't remember him showing that symbolism.
I think he's on a breakthrough thingy because there's some stuff happening.
But when he was talking about the symbolism of like the cross shape, I think the way he was approaching it was that knowledge seems to be based on the same principles that we see in the other stuff, the plasma tech, or Tesla tech, as I've called it, yeah. But they were applying it in a different methodology. And to me, it seems like what they were doing was trying to pull two plasmoids apart, and that was causing like an opening in the ether field that was allowing energetic stuff to come through that they've now labeled the low energy nuclear reactions. Yeah. So the way he was on that that one slice that he showed of the material where you could see the like bubbles of deformation in the metal, but it was all concentrated on like one side as if it was showing a sort of polar field effect.
Yeah, but in a predictable form, right? In a predictable kind of shape and
a little bit of tessellation, but somewhat predictable. Yes.
Yeah, and you get the same owl shape, kind of.
Yeah, the magnetic fields, basically. That's what I mean. I think
and I think with Tesla, if you look at Tesla and his, where he got his knowledge from, he clearly says like once you understand Egypt and that kind of thing, you understand a lot more. Like that's where he gleaned a lot of his knowledge from, right?
And it is about, to simplify it, it's about controlling lightning or controlling
and that's
plasma.
the jet pillar and all that stuff.
Yeah. Yep. It looks like I'm a little bit debating what Jeffrey John was showing in some of his video, where he's saying that the image of the jet pillar, the classic image that's with what they refer to as the light bulb.
Light bulb, yeah.
Yeah, I don't think
I'm debating that as well.
Yeah. I don't. I agree with him on that. Yeah, I don't think it's showing a light bulb or a Crookes tube, as they call it, which is like a primitive neon tube. I don't think it was that, but I also don't agree with his description of the jet pillar being purely sort of symbolic for the mythological reasons of their narrative mythology. Yeah.
No, that's a tour guide that Hassan. Whatever. They're always around there. Those guys, right? They have their own YouTube channel.
Yeah.
They did a demonstration of a replicant kind of a replication of a jet pillar.
Yes.
And they ran current to that thing. You can see like how it's isolating.
That's where I agree with Jeffrey. He does go into that. It's called an arrestor. Yeah, and he showed the modern equivalent of it, which is used in power substations and places like that. You'll see them. They're like a bunch of plates in a stack, like the pagodas you'd see in Japan, which was part of his examples in that video, that particular video, because he shows how, you might look at it and see just what we classically told is the pagoda shape, and the pagoda shape was allegedly designed because they found it aesthetically pleasing and it provided a kind of theological, mythological symbolism. Yeah. Because if you notice, there was always a certain number of them, each tier. Yeah. And it was meant to be part of Buddhist principles or Taoist principles to do with the the kind of their equivalent of the Jacob's ladder, your ascension process, basically. Yeah,
but they were kind of like a transistor, don't they? Like
exactly.
that you can, yeah.
As many of us have argued, like you mentioned earlier, right at the start, like saying people are seeing circuitry in architecture. I've made that argument since the fucking 90s. Yeah. But this is part of why that was back when I when I read Chariots of the Gods. Yeah. And I was like, now that some of this shit is starting to make sense to me. Yeah? This is about creating engines of energy. We're not talking about energy like the electricity socket in your wall where you plug your computer into. We're talking about why I showed you the clip of Rupert Sheldrake talking about how plants grow better when you give them the right kind of electrical flow environment. We are exactly the fucking same. We are sunflowers. It's just that we don't utilize photosynthesis. We use a different gut bacterial engine system. Yeah.
Yeah,
so we allow the plants to do the photosynthesis, and then we consume the plants and the animals. You know?
There's always that weird timing around the flood, right? Why these things are there and built before the flood and maybe survived the flood, and so could they be like a environmental kind of a thing, trying to harmonize the climate or trying to balance it out? Were they arcs? Were there precious things inside? There's so much more to this, like fucking hell.
Yes, and this is what I say. I think this is the approach we get in that I'm sort of
I think those revelations will come. That makes sense.
I think it's already starting, mate, because this kind of work is now all starting to coalesce. And the result of what we're getting
copper chisels don't cut it anymore.
No, exactly. But the result we're getting out of groups like the Thunderbolts Project and from people, independent people like him, as well as others that have been researching that kind of environment, the remains in Giza and other places around the world. This knowledge base is all starting to coalesce now into a way that is usable to us. It's no longer, how do you think they did that? Isn't that a bit of a wow? Oh, amazing that they did that. Oh, yeah, fantastic. No, now we can actually go, right, okay, we're starting to comprehend how and why they were doing this shit. Because the why is vitally important, yeah? Why were they building stone batteries? Because that's basically what a lot of these places were. I've said this about sites like Stonehenge, yeah? It wasn't just a clock. It's not just a calendar. It's a battery. The pyramids were deliberately, that structure was used because the ancients understood that it focused energy into the center. In other words, they were operating like a battery. They were meant to accumulate energy and store it, and they could then tap into it whenever they needed that energy.
Yep.
So if they could do that all the way back then using fucking stones and copper, what the fuck are we fucking about at now? And all this bullshit about we've got to go without standard of living because we need an AI data center to stick boobs on shit. Fuck off.
Well, that's a bit of the irony, right? Because everything we do is still earthbound. So all the materials, all the stuff is like, we're still like, but no, we have a free source of energy out there that could power everything.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah, like I say, for all intents and purposes, for us, it would be infinite energy.
And definitely our microelectronics and all that shit, for sure.
With what we've developed in recent decades about micro voltage use electronics and shit, man. This whole environment could be lit up. We could be living in a fucking a kaleidoscope environment in terms of the amount of energy we could have available. Yes, the images you showed the other week, the AI images, not far from the mark.
Well, it's kind of what those tech bros envision, right? But in their kind of a weird
they think they've got to get rid of a load of us to be able to achieve it. That's where I totally and utterly disagree.
Well, you don't need the useless eaters, for sure.
Yeah, according to them.
Yes.
Yeah, but according to me, and I think a lot of the rest of us, we're not useless eaters, mate. You can fuck off. Start with yourself.
Space is big enough. Fuck off.
Yeah, space is big. It's really big.
Go away. Go to
Don't
Mars.
panic.
Go away. Yep.
Right, okay. It's been long enough. I've kept you busy for far too long. It's been nearly a 3-hour show. It will be by the time we played music and said goodbye and good night and whatever.
I'll share the link for the after chat.
Yeah, please drop the link in for the chat if people want to jump in and have a quick chat. Because we've gone over late, so the hydrogen battery. I think Pete mentioned, was it a couple of weeks ago or something you were talking about?
There's a new battery.
Is it from Sony or was it a different manufacturer?
It's a Finnish invention. Donut.
Oh, I thought it was Japanese.
Donut battery. No, but I have had this film clip in the daily.
Like this guy, came up with the idea to keep his car charged while he's driving. Yeah, they'll be trying to kill him.
Yeah, it's not a pretty one, but yeah. Good work.
I'd love to see the technical data for that. Mate,
I want to see. Yeah. He has to have certain speed, and it definitely gets the power.
And obviously,
in there, sure.
you've got to guarantee that there would be enough remaining charge for you to start and get moving to begin the process. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you need to make sure there's enough charge left in the battery when you pull up and stop, because otherwise you're not going to get it moving again.
Really good fans and all that. Fans, propellers. Yeah. Anyway, silly things like that.
Yeah, and the thorium reactors. Yeah, they'll be coming in soon.
We have cold fusion, all that shit. We have.
Yeah. We just need to get past this period of the old cabal are convinced that the only way they can do shit is by their Phoenix principle of destroy the old so they can build a new.
The Leonard idea is not new, right?
No.
Bob picked it up, and and those guys who really invented it, they went dark.
Yeah, I think it was the Russians mainly that.
I don't know, but I saw some rumors coming out of some lab out of America that they did the Leonard thing and they achieved it, so they can do it, right? And then it got shelved, of course, or put in the sub, or put in some fucking drone, or
mounted in the toilet block on an aircraft.
Yeah. But yeah, again, look at those things, because that's the real problem. Like we have it, but
I could also play that clip of McKenna again, where he's saying, like, this is the ascension stage. And it's not anything sensible or clean or practical. It's a fire in a lunatic asylum.
Once they let one go, all of them will come out, right?
Yeah.
And then we'll find out, there are 10, 20, 40, 60 ideas of fucking free energy all of a sudden.
Or even things like that, because you can't really say that's free energy, but in a way it is.
Less destructive energy than we have now. Let's put it like that.
But I think you could say different, or give a shout out for the others. Like tomorrow, hopefully Rob will be available and we'll be doing the Health Freedom UK
I think
show.
he's already prepping for the quiz. Yeah. He's busy. He hasn't been in the chat either, so he's actually busy.
He's washing his hair.
Or he's lurking and hiding. Haven't seen Paula either. Hi, Paula.
No, hello to the
Kitty
out there. Maybe because it's Bank Holiday Monday, they might be doing other stuff.
Mondays is not ladies' night.
No. And it is a bank holiday Monday. It's Easter weekend, so for a lot of people, they'll be occupied with other stuff, family and whatever, and things like that.
Yep. And tomorrow, the end of the world, so it's going to be great at Rob's show.
Taco Tuesday for tomorrow. Hopefully, Rob will get the honour of announcing.
Good luck, Iran.
Trump has been arrested and thrown in a jail cell or padded cell.
Yeah.
And then Wednesday we'll be back potentially for more craziness, because I could see it getting seriously more crazy within the next few days. And Thursday night mystery show with Steve, will play some music and give us some wise talk, and maybe hopefully we can spend a little bit of time thinking about other things. Not just the fucking craziness of the world at the moment.
Yeah, well,
again, though, maybe that's part of it. Maybe that's what has to happen for a while.
We're here. We're still here.
We're going to get a little crazy. Yeah.
Yeah.
But in the same kind of way, I think sometimes even I get lost for words. You heard me earlier just basically ranting, talking about some of the Trump stuff because I don't know what else to say. The guy's a fucking crazy lunatic, and hopefully the sooner he's gone, the better. And I mean, just in the sense of not in power, not doing the shit.
Yeah, careful with what you're saying.
Yeah. I mean, he needs to be deposed. He needs to be arrested for being a crazy fucking tyrant. But yeah, sometimes you get lost for words, but there's some amazingly creative people. And they're working at doing some amazing stuff. Normally I'm complaining about the AI, but I think he's done a fucking good job with the visuals for this, and it works really well with the lyrics and everything. So
I wanted to download it, but I thought, well, I'm sure Cookie will have it. So.
Yeah, I'm almost there. So. And thank you.
Thanks, everybody. See you tomorrow.
Uploading it.
Thanks, Cookie.
See you again soon. Enjoy this new track from Ridiculizer. I'll find and put the link in the chat for you as well in a sec. Catches.
The floor, shouting louder than before, and no one ever hears a word. Every side defense is tried, facts get buried in the bride, then ocean of truth becomes absurd. Echo chambers take control. Pick a puppet for the role. Every headline feels a flame, a different mask but same old game. Lost for words, lost for words.
just going to get weirder and weirder and weirder.
Welcome to your awakening. Please take off as your reality is adjusted.